We be live. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. I'm copying you now. Hello. You sound like the queen or something. I don't know. Hello. Hi guys. Before, I know some of you are new here and have no idea what's happening. It doesn't matter. Like the stream right now. We will explain later. Just like the stream.
Act.
Priority. Everybody, let us know in the live chat if you have liked. Dolly is here. D is here. Is D here? Yes. Ayrton is here. Oh, and we got so many super chats already. We
I
haven't
know
even
we haven't
started.
even started yet.
Yes. So actually, here's how I think we should start the stream so people end up watching it. Okay. I'm just going to give the title of the 5 stories that we're going to be covering. Okay. So, title of the first story: Radical Cleric's Sharia Law Dream. 30 million, no, 3 million pounds for Islamic Island. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2 is California Imam accuses LGBT of infiltrating Palestine rallies. Wow. And number 3 is UK Islamic Charities host extremist cleric who endorses sex slavery. Number 4 story today we're going to be covering is going to be the surprising story of Europe's Hijab-Only beach. And number 5 will be why Uzbekistan's ban on cousin marriages matter. Okay, that's pretty intense. Okay. What do you think? Should we just give that 5 titles so that people? I think that's a good way to get people okay, I need to listen to all of this, and this is going to retain more viewers. I think if I give you the titles, right? Yes. Tell me if you
A
like
little
that in the live
preview.
chat. Yeah, let it preview.
I am so excited to talk about this first news story because a few weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, we talked a little bit about the Shirazi Shias. And this episode, we're going to get into it. If you guys want to know about an extremist Shia sect that is operating in the UK, kind of under the radar for 20 years now, make sure to stay tuned.
Yes. Oh, by the way, Yusef had a super chat for us last stream, which I didn't read.
Yeah.
Because it was at the end of the stream. I felt so bad. I was thinking about it so much because he said, "Hey, don't forget my super chat," and I didn't see that, and I was feeling so guilty. I was like, I don't know why I was feeling so bad about it because he said he also posted a message. Don't forget my super chat. And when I saw that, my heart broke. Well, I don't know why. I was feeling so crappy. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna save his super chat and bring it up on the next stream. Anyways, do you want to respond to the super chats while I go find his super chat?
Should we do super chats before we get into the first story?
No, you're right. Let's get into the first story. Except okay, so we have to do our angel super chat at least, huh?
Okay. Of course. Yes. Our super chat from our Angel LR, being insanely generous once again, saying, I hope we are all enjoying our day so far. Don't forget to like the stream and comment afterwards. Yes, guys. Okay. You have to like and stay tuned because this is honestly going to be a doozy. This is honestly going to be a doozy, and I am so excited to talk about this. Because I get to bring out a bunch of very niche knowledge I have on a very weird sect that normally this knowledge has almost no purpose. Except on days like today, my friend. Days like today, my friend. Okay. Armin, should we go ahead and get into it? Stop teasing it.
Yes, we should. And thank you again, Angel. You're amazing. Seriously, thank you. All right, so the rest of the super chats, we will read them after the first news. But Susanna is so eager for us to get to the first news, so let's just do that. It's clappable, right? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, this is. Oh, I'm gonna have so much fun. Okay, maybe I should not hype it too much. I'm gonna people are gonna be like, nah, that was not that
Yes,
good.
well,
Okay.
yeah, guys, this is like nerding over like some Shia Islamic stuff in the UK, and we're gonna get to some level of detail that some of you might find too nerdy. But anyway, Susanna is gonna have fun with it. I'm just gonna enjoy Susanna having fun with it. Okay, so clappable, right? Yes.
Yeah.
First news.
First news: radical clerics Sharia law dream £3 million for an Islamic island. Ooh, brother. Okay. In the United Kingdom, Sheikh Yasser Al Habib, a 45-year-old controversial Shia scholar from Kuwait, has ignited a storm of controversy with his plans to purchase Torsa Island in Scotland for £3 million. Al Habib, infamous for his provocative sermons and military style training camps, envisions building a school, mosque, and hospital on the remote island to establish a homeland for Shia Muslims worldwide. In a fundraising video on his satellite channel, Fadak TV, he urged supporters to donate, saying, quote, "If you want to live free under the banner of the Imam, in a special homeland where you feel like everything reminds you of the awaited Mahdi, everything is the Shia homeland support in this project. The Mahdi is a prophesized redeemer in Islam who will rule before the day of judgment and rid the world of evil." Sarah Zamini of the Atlantic Council, who studied this group, warned that the community would function autonomously, managing its own schools, hospitals, and justice system. Despite fierce opposition and the current owner's reluctance to sell, estate agent Slavis confirmed that the Torso remains on the market. Al Habib, who has been in the UK since 2004 after fleeing Kuwait, was repeatedly stirred sectarian tensions and faced government scrutiny for his incendiary broadcasts. His plans have reignited debates over religious freedom and community integration in the UK, underscoring ongoing tensions between secular and religious values. Okay, so I need to data dump a little bit just about this present day story, and then Armin can dive into who these people are and why why this is. Okay, so Sheikh Yasser Al Habib is from Kuwait, and back in the early 2000s, he got kicked out of Kuwait and actually basically I think he got his citizenship revoked after being imprisoned in Kuwait for stirring up sectarian hatred. What that means is that basically this man loves to insult the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet, more than anyone else I've ever seen on this planet. Some of you will remember a few weeks ago, we were showing videos of this guy celebrating the death of Aisha and singing songs about how Aisha is in hell. And this is extremely inflammatory to basically all Sunnis around the world. And we can get into a little bit about their ideology and theology later because it's so interesting. And they use extremely coded language to talk about what they actually mean. Oh my God. Okay, so what happened here? So he was raising money between 3 million to 3.5 million pounds to buy this island. Now, the person who is the estate owner of this island, because of the media firestorm, is like, I would not sell it to him. Don't worry, I'm not going to do that. I don't think this would be a good place to do that anyways. And the island is still available for sale. But on his channel, his Arabic speaking channel, Farak TV, which now this video cannot be found on their channel, they had a fundraising video about how they needed to raise money to fund a Mahdiist homeland for the Shia. And part of this scheme, Armin, is that his group would negotiate a special visa with the UK They would negotiate a special visa with the UK so that Shias from around the world could resettle on this island. Yeah. And that they would have their own homeland. So,
And UK would do this. Why? The UK were like, sure, let's do that. Why? I mean, I'm seeing videos of like they're planning on doing military training on this island and stuff like that, like raise an army, right? So why would the UK be like, sure?
This group has already bought an old church hall where they organize their satellite TV out of for like £1 million. They have a property in an area, and they have their own name for this property. It's the minor lands of Fadak. You guys can look this all up. And they're this little like closed off kingdom, their minor lands of Fadak, has become where they have their headquarters, and they do their content in Arabic, which is Fadak TV, and in English, which is called Rafida Plus. Now, Rafida is usually a derogatory term used for the Shia. And you will see people like Daniel Hakikaju referring to the Rafida in a very pejorative, negative way. But this group has taken that label and like reclaimed it and be like, yes, we are Rafida. And they are insistent upon, so how should I go into the kind of the background and theology now? I don't know. Basically, this is a group that does not believe in Sunni Shia unity. They do not believe in coming together with Sunnis. They do not believe in being, I guess, peaceful or friendly with Sunnis to a certain extent. Because several years ago, 2 years ago, I got very deep into following this group. And I would literally go watch on their English channel their live streams that they would do. And one time I tried to call into their call-in show. And when watching their channel, they cite this hadith. And I cannot remember the actual hadith anymore or the scripture. But basically, they have this hadith that they hang on to where they talk about that the Prophet Muhammad prophesied that there would be like a huge number of Muslim sects. I can't remember what the number was. Like maybe it was 72, maybe it was 172. I can't remember. But they're like, the Prophet already told us that there are going to be like 172 different types of Muslims, but only one of them will be correct. And they take it that they are the one that is correct, and so that they have no need to be pretending to be in unity with these other groups. And so they do things that the rest of the Sunni Muslim world and even most of the other Shia world find very, very inflammatory when it comes to the insulting of the figures that Sunnis find the most holy. Basically, because they think that those Sunni figures that are the most holy to the Sunnis are the original terrorists. And we can get into discussing that because that's a very interesting, fun conversation. So they basically think that, all these issues of terrorism, this is not an Islam thing. This is a Sunni thing. So they use very coded language to like get around this. And on their property, the minor lands of Fadak, they do what basically looks like LARPing paramilitary training, where they're going around doing marches in full uniform and stuff, which I'm pretty sure is in contravention of the UK law. Like you can't there's a law about having like other uniforms in this sense. Like you can't just be raising a paramilitary, like this force that's uniformed outside of the scope of the law. And then doing like training routines. I'm not a lawyer though. I'm not super familiar with that area of the law. Anyways, so this idea is that they, you know how like this isn't a perfect analogy, but Israel is like, okay, if you're a Jew that's persecuted around the world, like you can come home and you can come to Israel. This is going to be your safety zone. They basically want to do something kind of similar, but for Shias. So any persecuted Shia around the world can come live on this island, and they are going to have this island that is preparing for the Mahdi.
Yeah, that's the point of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which they do not agree with. So the whole point of the Islamic Republic of Iran is they have basically taken the country hostage, Iran as a country hostage, to turn that into a land for when the Mahdi comes. He has an army ready, he has a land ready, he has everything ready, okay, to basically invade the whole world. That's the goal of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And these Shias, these Shirazi Shias, they hate the Islamic Republic. So this is a different version of 12-er Shia Islam. They hate Khomeini, they hate Khamenei, they hate the concept of Wilayat Faqih. So this guy was like, wants to buy a tiny little island to be like, no, this is the army and the land that when the Mahdi comes, we will give. So wait a minute, they're basically creating a kind of version of Wilayat Faqih themselves, like the thing that they actually claim to hate.
And this is what's important, because if you go watch British TV coverage from like conservative British channels, they don't understand this, Armin. And they're like, oh my God, they're talking about the Mahdi. That means that they're with the Iranians. It's so dangerous to have them be with the Iranians. And I'm like, no. You don't understand. They hate the Khomeiniist ideology, that regime, probably more than most people. They are diametrically opposed to that regime. They are not with the Iranians, but they also have their own, it's this like offshoot of 12-er Shiaism. So they are going to be talking about the Mahdi, but they're not with the Iranians. The Islamic Republic put their leader, what's his name? Sadiq al-Shirazi, I think, under house arrest at some point because he was too extremist for them. And
I mean, it's not the two, they don't care. Okay, so let's be clear, okay? They don't care about you being too extreme. They care about you being a threat to them. So you could be as extreme as you want, as long as you're not a threat to Khamenei, that's fine, right? They, like the regime sometimes arrest people or put people who are against the regime into house arrest in prison, and then but they explain it to the people, they lie to people. They say like, oh, we arrested them because they were too extreme, to give a moderate image of themselves to the people. Like, oh, look, don't be worried. Don't say we're extreme. These are the actual extreme people. Look, we're against extremism. But that's not why they actually arrest them. So just let's be clear about that. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and one of the things that they point to is that the Islamic Republic of Iran has made the practice of tatbir illegal. So tatbir is where you take a knife and you slice your forehead open. But it's almost a form of bloodletting. And you can find these videos of these groups of these guys in the UK wearing these white robes, and then they're bloodletting so that they're covered in their own blood, to represent the blood of Hussein.
Religion, not barbaric, but not barbaric at all. Okay, like this is, oh my, doesn't this just warm your heart? Like, isn't these practices, like some people have Christmas, I don't know, some people have Hanukkah. These people just like make themselves bleed, and also their children. They actually do this to their babies as well. They make them bloody. Yeah, well, like what a beautiful tradition. Yeah, but go on.
And so there are all these instances where this group has caused problems in the UK because they have gone and attacked the Azerbaijani consulate and like raised their flag on the Kuwaiti consulate, because they have this group within this constellation of groups called the Mahdi Servants Union. The Mahdi Servants Union, or MSU, is a global union between believers and the necessity of preparation to the reappearance of the promised Imam Mahdi, peace be upon him, through faith advancing of societies in accordance with the Islamic Rafida values and achieving the Shia civilizational dominance. This is the statement of purpose on their own website of a group legally operating within the UK. And when I said that they're operating under the radar, I don't mean that they're necessarily doing things that are illegal, although there is some of that stuff. What I mean is that they are a group that has been operating with somewhat of a low profile in comparison to other groups within the United Kingdom, like the Muhajirun of Amjad Chowdhury or something, which obviously gets like a high degree of media attention. These guys like cause a little bit of a splash every once in a while, and then kind of like fade from the consciousness, and people don't really know what's going on there. And the thing is that they have received repeated warnings from Ofcom, the British broadcasting regulator, for their sermons on Fadak TV that are spreading hatred of Sunnis. But Ofcom hasn't shut them down. And basically, they have been allowed to operate for a very long time and kind of start their own little compound in the minor lands of Fadak. And so now they wanted to expand it to this island. The problem is that a lot of people who are familiar with this part of Scotland are saying that this is a horrible idea because you can only reach this island on a private ferry from another island, and that island could only be reached from another ferry. And that basically is just it's not a good property choice. There's major concerns. So that was a big dump. Armin, we could get more into who these people are and the conspiracies about them. And because there are a lot of conspiracies about them. Or we could watch a video that they put out in response to the media backlash about this action, because I found their own statement on this, which I think is very interesting.
Do you also want to mention that these people, some of them were in love with the Queen and were trying to make her Muslim? Like, consider her like a... Because you have to be careful, because these Shirazi Shias, you might are different from the Shias from coming out of the Tehran. Some of them are obsessed with the British monarchy, and they kind of like the British monarchy, and that might make some of you guys sympathetic to them. And some of these people were trying to make the point that the Queen was the descendant of Muhammad, and that to justify their obsession with her. So do you want to talk about that or not?
Okay, so there are a lot of conspiracies about this group. These conspiracies come both from Sunnis and also from other Shias, primarily from the Shias that support the Iranian regime. So if you are interested in going down this rabbit hole, you can... Yeah. If you're interested in going down this rabbit hole, literally just in YouTube, type in Shirazi Shia exposed, and you will find videos from a group called Islamic Pulse, which is a group that is a Pakistani guy who's a Shia seminary student who supports the regime in Iran. And then also videos from Sunnah Discourse, which, is a hardcore Sunni guy that has these videos exposing these Shias. And basically they say, just the same way that the US was funding ISIS, the UK government is funding the Shirazi Shias. And they have all this evidence of this because this guy, Sheikh Yasser al-Habib, will be praising the Queen, talking about how they love the Queen. The Queen is a Sayyida, meaning Queen Elizabeth was a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. And oh my God, it goes so deep. And then part of the thing is that Sunnis will use to weaponize against Shias is they will say, who is your marja? When they want to try to expose someone. Marja meaning who is the Shia's source of emulation? Because Shia Islam follows a chain of emulation, so to speak. So who is the Imam that you are emulating? Who is your leader? Who is your marja? And they use this phrase when they're trying to ask, is your marja al-Shirazi? Because there are people like Imam Tahwidi, who became famously known as the Imam of Peace, who his marja is al-Shirazi. There are other people who present themselves as kind of moderate Shias, like Syed Amar Naqshwani, who they think that his marja is al-Shirazi. But Naqshwani kind of waffles back and forth. He's like, I have a lot of respect for Khamenei, of course. Of course, as a scholar, I have a lot of respect for Khamenei. But then there's other people, it's like you also have a lot of respect for them as well. So he tries to play both sides, like he's a little bit of a fence sitter. He doesn't make himself clear. But if you go watch his older sermons that have come out on camera, like he's talking about how Sunni Islam is ISIS, basically. So they're like, sounds like Shirazi.
All right.
Maybe I'm going too deep right now. But
yes, you're like we're getting so deep. People might be losing. That's because Susie knows so much. Susie knows about these people way more than I do. Okay,
and this is why they call it secret Shia. That's where this joke started. People don't know.
Yes, but look at this. This is how they try to. This is the lineage. They connect. You can see at the very bottom. That's a queen. So basically, the king now is also supposed to be connected to Muhammad, but this is how they track Prophet Muhammad all the way down to Queen Elizabeth. Okay, so they're like they try to justify their obsession that they have with her, with like that. But anyways, these people are crazy. Also, when you said, it was interesting to me that you said the TV is called Fadak. Fadak, yes. Is that like Fadak, like that?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what is that? Do you know what that name?
Do not know what that means.
That's the land that Fatima was fighting for after Muhammad's death, because Abu Bakr, Omar, and Osman, they took away her land, and she was fighting for her right to get back that land. Yeah. And that's the name. So this land is kind of like, I don't know, referring to Fatima's land. Anyway, so that's the name that they're referring to.
Yeah, so they've bought property in the UK and have renamed it the Minor Lands of Fadak.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. You can literally go look this up on Google Maps.
This is very dangerous. Like I did a stream earlier talking about, some of these people are making a nation within a nation without actually having to raise an army. But they are raising an army, right? They are actually training and everything.
It's extremely LARPy.
Yes, it's LARPy, but they're at least. I mean, you can see the motivation there, and actually they're more dangerous because some of them actually kind of like the British monarchy. So a lot of people might feel like, okay, they like us, like they're not that big of a threat then, and then they do stuff like this.
It's very confusing. It's all a mess. But this is such a fun rabbit hole to go down. It is so interesting. Like I said, I literally tried to call into their live show. And the funniest thing is, like, I was watching their content so much at one point that when these videos came out of them doing the military drills, I see one of the guys in the crowd doing the drills. And I'm like, oh, that's the host of the show that I used to watch. Good to see him. Like, I recognize them.
Jesus, this is so dangerous. God damn it, man.
There is one other thing that people need to know about this group that we have touched on before, is that this group put out a movie 2 years ago called The Lady of Heaven. And this movie caused a huge controversy in the UK because Sunni Muslims were protesting it and also threatening to harm or attack the movie theaters where this movie was being shown. And UK authorities, having no idea what's going on between these two Muslim groups, decided to shut down the screenings of these movies which itself is a huge issue just in terms of like, okay, so you're enforcing Sunni blasphemy law in the UK. Like these people do have the right to show the movie that they made. But this movie was controversial because one, it depicted the face of Muhammad through computer generation. It depicted Muhammad. And it was basically all about the terrorism of the figures that Sunnis venerate. And they were shown as like cartoonishly evil, and they were all black, which I thought was a little bit of a red flag.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna wait until say that. Like it was racist. Like all the good people were white, and all the bad people, like these Muslims are these ones that are racist. Like they were showing Aisha. Aisha was black because they hate Aisha, and Ali and Fatima and Muhammad, they were all white, and Abu Bakr, Omar, and Aisha, which they hate, they were all black.
And ugly.
Why was every single bad person in the show black? I don't know what the hell is happening there.
So if you we have talked about this movie and unpacked it in great detail if you want to understand the nuances of what are going on here. So go look on our channel. The video probably has the name Lady of Heaven in it. But if you want to hear us like expose what's going on behind the scenes here, because they are so tricky. They are very, very skilled at cloaking their intentions and beliefs or using language that a Westerner would not understand what they mean. They're very skilled at doing this. So we made a whole video unpacking everything that's going on. So if you're interested, like go watch that. But along those lines, I wanted to show a video that they released responding to the criticism and accusations that they are getting in the British press. Because Armin, this will be a perfect example to unpack the coded language that they are using, because I know that you and I will understand what is being said and what is not being said, and then what is being meant. But I want to show the audience how this works.
Before I show it, I'm actually a little bit scared of showing it, because remember, these are the same people who gave us the first copyright strike of this channel, and they were very insistent on it. Like we had to fight them. Like we had to go. These when we were reviewing their movie Lady of Heaven, everybody else was reviewing it and they didn't get a copyright strike. But when we were reviewing it, we were being critical and we got a copyright strike, even though it was fair use. So if this is the video that we're showing is these people, are we going to get a copyright strike for this? I don't know.
I don't know. I would be doubtful, because the other one was a movie trailer, and then this is just like a video that they put out.
Okay, fine, but it's a trailer. Trailers are meant to be okay.
I know. No, trust me.
Right.
I mean, this is the tactics they play. I'm not surprised. So, Armin, for this video, this full video goes 15 minutes long. We obviously will not watch the whole thing, but I would say we should play the first 2.5 minutes or the first 4.5 minutes, because that's where there's so much that is juicy for us to go through. So,
okay, so this is the Shia Muslim in the UK, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this isn't.
In recent days, UK news outlets have been frantically and fanatically reporting about Sheikh al-Habib, about his plans to purchase islands in the UK, to establish the Mehdi Islands, a homeland for the Shia. They've been using all sorts of slurs and labels against Sheikh al-Habib, such as hate preacher and extremist and radical, etc. You know the terms. I mean, let's be honest now. Are there any Muslims left that are practicing their religion that haven't been called by these terms? It seems if you're a Muslim that has any ambitions, even remotely related to your faith, that you're automatically a radical. Because of course, only a radical, radicalized by religion itself, would ever have any ambitions other than material ones. Regardless, this piece from me today is not aimed at appeasing anyone, especially not UK news outlets. But it is fair for the British public to hear from someone who's worked closely with Sheikh al-Habib. My relationship with Sheikh al-Habib is probably most known by the role of executive producer on the film of The Lady of Heaven, a film authored by Sheikh al-Habib himself and released in UK cinemas in 2022. You may recall this film when radicals stormed cinemas.
Can I pause here? Just remind people that we say, when you say Lady of Heaven, they're referring to Fatima. Okay, remember that these people care about Fatima, Ali, and Hussein more than they care about Muhammad and Allah. When I say Shia Muslims, and they will not admit that, they will say I'm lying. They will say this is not true. But if you actually follow them and look at what they're obsessed with, they're obsessed. This is their trinity is Ali, Hussein, and Fatima. Fatima being the daughter of Muhammad, right? And Hussein being the grandchild of Muhammad. So Lady of Heaven is focused after Fatima. But yeah, let's continue.
Across the UK demanding for this film to be taken down. Protests.
Oh, so these are the Sunnis that were protesting the film, right?
Yeah. Radicals stormed cinemas across the UK demanding for this film to be taken down. Protests and riots and death threats and all sorts. These were radical Muslims who were trying to stop this message that Sheikh al-Habib had authored in The Lady of Heaven, a message revealing and speaking about the historical founding forefathers of terrorism itself. Little do these news outlets know.
Wait, pause. Armin, you have to tell people what they mean. You have to tell people what they mean. Your reaction?
So he's trying to act like he's not a radical, but he basically says like they're exposing the fathers of terrorism or radicalism. He's referring to the three caliphs, like Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, and Aisha. Also, because they say like, oh, terrorism is basically the ISIS and Al Qaeda. They're the terrorists, and that whole movement comes from the Sunnis. And he just basically completely called everything, the whole foundations, the main people in Sunni Islam that are considered the people who understood Islam the most. He basically called them what is he called? The what fathers of terrorism?
The founding fathers of terrorism.
Yes. But so like, yeah, okay. This is why the Sunnis hate you. You're basically calling all of them. Listen to this here. Wow, this is even when he's trying to act
all sorts. These were radical Muslims who were trying to stop this message that Sheikh al-Habib had authored in The Lady of Heaven, a message revealing and speaking about the historical founding forefathers of terrorism itself. Little do these...
The founding forefathers of terrorism themselves. Wow. He's talking about the Rashidun, the Sahaba, the main companions of Muhammad. Basically, the main people that Muhammad was surrounded with. Like, okay, sure.
News.
I mean, if these people were so bad, then why did Muhammad like constantly trust them and married them? And like, I don't know, it's like, was Muhammad so bad at picking his friends? I mean, Abu Bakr was the one that the Quranic verse is about, the one that was in the cave when that spider came out and, you know, had that net so that the kafirun, the unbelievers, would not come into the cave because they couldn't believe that somebody is in the cave because there was a net. The person that was with Muhammad was Abu Bakr. Like, Abu Bakr was one of the closest companions of Muhammad, and these people are calling them the founding forefathers of terrorism, the original ISIS. Like, what the hell? I mean, here. Let me tell you, we don't have a Quranic verse referring to Ali. We have a Quranic verse about the story of Abu Bakr and Muhammad together. So there you go.
No, these terms were first coined against Sheikh al-Habib by the radicals themselves. These terms were coined by people who were trying to silence him from speaking out against the root cause of terrorism in history. It is the same.
The root cause of terrorism in history. He's talking about Sunni Islam. Okay, and then when you tell these people like, okay, so Sunni Islam is the root cause of terrorism, how is it that almost every single terrorist group in Islamic terrorist group on the planet is right now backed up and funded by the main Shia force, which is the Islamic Republic of Iran? So you kind of like, oh no, it's the Sunnis that are terrorists. Show me a terrorist group. There are very, very few terrorist groups, like there are, but like the vast majority of terrorism is right now being backed by the main Shia power in the world. And if you tell them that, they're like, those are not the real Shias.
Exactly.
We are the real Shias. Well, the
they have the
Sunnis
whole-
say the same thing. Yeah, the
if you watch their
Sunnis,
content
if
long
you
enough,
go,
they have an entire name. They have a name for them. I can't remember right now for the Islamic Republic. And their problem with the Islamic Republic is not necessarily that they have a problem with the idea of the guardianship of the jurists, but that they don't like the power structure, essentially, that and it allows too much power in one man's hands. That's what they say.
Yeah. Which is, but I was saying the Sunnis will say the same thing. The Sunnis will say, well, like ISIS and Al Qaeda, we don't accept them. They are not even Sunni; they're Khawarij. So the same thing that the Shias say about their terrorists, the Sunnis say the same thing about their terrorists. So it's the same thing.
Same thing with the claim that
the problem is not Shia Islam or Sunni Islam. The problem is Islam. Okay, it's rotten to the core.
UK news outlets keep repeating of Sheikh Al-Habib being imprisoned in Kuwait. Do journalists in this day and age put in any effort at all? Because if they did, they would know that the reason Sheikh Al-Habib was imprisoned in Kuwait was only because he was speaking out against these founding forefathers of terrorism in history. This
So he just, instead of saying Sunni Islam, he just says founding forefathers of terrorism in history. So like, Kuwaitis being Sunni themselves.
We know that you were being sectarian, and that's why you were punished, and you're still doing it right now.
Yeah, you're doing it. So he's like, we weren't arrested for being radical. We were just speaking about the founding forefathers of terrorism. So basically, like the founding forefathers being the main three caliphs that you disagree with, basically the entire foundations of Sunni Islam. Okay, sure.
This was the reason they tried to silence him by imprisoning him. And this was the reason he had to flee. So you can't use that against him as a means to prove that he is dangerous. All this rhetoric, the labeling and using his past against him, it is all a framework that originates from.
By the way, guys, look at this is Islam in the. I'm telling you, Islam in the UK is gonna grow, okay? Because look at this, right? This doesn't look like that angry, crazy beard, like messy all over the place. Muslim guys shouting at you, saying Sharia in the UK in the street. Like, look at this. Like, this is more dangerous. This is the future of the growth of Islam in the UK. Look at the manner in which he speaks, the background. Like, you don't even see any Islamic decoration in the background. You see, a bookshelf. It looks like the glasses, the tone. It looks like an academic speaking to you. It looks very civilized, very mature. And this, it will, as we see Islam growing in the UK, we will have more. We will have versions of it that will be able to infiltrate UK society more, because this is the version of it with the cover that a lot of people are going to be less defensive about it. So these dangerous ideas are going to find better, more aesthetically pleasing, and less threatening ways of trying to spread. Like even right now, with Islam being such an obviously barbaric religion, you see so many white people in the UK converting to Islam. But imagine where we are going to be heading a couple of years, like 10 years in the future, where this is the face of Islam in the UK, where it looks less threatening and more pleasant to listen to and look at, right? So again, this is your future. So we have to be ready for it. We have to find ways to fight back against it.
I'm not gonna lie. He could use his voice for like ASMR. Like
yes. Yeah, are you gonna see more people like him? Yeah, exactly.
It's all a framework that originates from the radicals themselves. If UK news outlets are inheriting the same language used by these radicals against Sheikh Al-Habib as a means to stop him from speaking about the historical roots of terrorism, then a big question mark must be put on the heads of these news terrorists. Perhaps this is a big psyop. Perhaps the British public is being scammed by these news outlets who are in bed with the same individual.
Wait, what is he? I didn't catch that. What?
Took a little bit of a diversion, my friend.
Hold on, what?
All this rhetoric, the labeling and using his past against him, it is all a framework that originates from the radicals themselves. If UK news outlets are inheriting the same language used by these radicals against Sheikh al-Habib as a means to stop him from speaking about the historical roots of terrorism, then a big question mark must be put on the heads of these news terrorists. Perhaps this is a big psyop. Perhaps the British public is being scammed by these news outlets who are in bed with the same individuals that are trying to destroy Britain by supporting radicalism and terrorism behind the scenes.
Okay, so guys, you have to be very careful. This is very, very sneaky. Okay, this is what Shirazi Shias do so effectively. Okay, they use your fears of Islam and they will act like they are on your side to accept their version of Islam. We saw this with Imam Tawhidi, right? So this whole this book. I have his book somewhere here.
The Tragedy of Islam. Yeah.
Yes, that's the entire point of this book. So you guys have to be very, very, very careful. Okay, so a lot of people in the West, they're concerned with the radicalism of Islam and the threat of Islam, and these Shirazi type Shia Muslims, they will come and tell you, like other Muslims, they will like, no, you're wrong. This is not Islam. You shouldn't be afraid of Islam. These Shirazi Shia Muslims, they come and tell you, you're right to be afraid. They're coming for you. And this is dangerous, right? And guess what? There was a man one day that was standing up against exactly this very threat. And his name is Hussein. Yeah. Hussein. Right? So by giving into your fears against Islam and agreeing that this is, and they're like, they're coming for you. They're everywhere, actually. They're even in the media. These Islamic terrorists, they're controlling your media. And we are the unique, different kind of Muslims that we're going to stand up to them. We're not the same. This is a different, like they wouldn't even call themselves Muslims, right? Like they try to talk in a way that you even forget that they're Muslim. That's why they say like a freedom fighter, Hussein. Sometimes they don't even mention Islam. They just say Hussein, right? But we have, they're basically sneaking in from the other side, but by confirming that you are right to be concerned about Islam, but then they will bring you Islamic in from the back door. So
and they also try to co-opt the Western-oriented reformist movement.
Yes,
that's one of their back doors.
No, so like these saying, wait, I thought the Jews control the media. Well, not, I mean, to these people, the Sunnis are worse than, everybody makes their enemy could be control everything, right? So your main enemies are always controlling everything. So
but make no mistake, this group hates Israel. They curse the Zionist regime. They don't get it twisted.
Yes. So the way that it works is that whoever is your enemy, okay, they are in with the Jews. They are working with them, right? So for example, the Islamic Republic of Iran has this narrative that ISIS and Al-Qaeda are with the Jews. They're basically their projects. So whoever is controlling the media is part of the operation of the global Zionist. Yeah, I don't know. It's not consistent.
Almost likely.
My chest hurts from that Ya Hussein. I slapped myself a little too hard.
Hey, you're not a proper Shia then, Susanna. You're like,
that's true. I should be suffering more.
You have to hit it until it bleeds, or like you have people who hit themselves with chain until they have blood on their back. So this is like, see, the whole point is to remember how much Hussein suffered, right? So the pain is supposed to be painful, so you could remember the pain of all the people, the 72 people on the day of Ashura. Okay, so
thank you for putting that into perspective for me. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, do we watch more of this, or should we go to the super chats?
No, it gets really good. Let's watch 1 more minute and a half. And then I want to
One
talk
minute.
about some
Okay.
things that are in the later half of this video that we're not going to actually watch, but I can summarize because I watched this whole thing. But it's very, very important that I touch upon it. So,
Okay. Let's go.
Just incompetent journalists who have no clue what they're saying. Because if they had spent any time looking into these things before reporting on them, they would have discovered that these phraseologies and these terms they use against Sheikh al-Habib are in line with terrorism and radicalism. Calling Sheikh al-Habib a hate preacher is saying that it is hateful to speak against terrorism. You can also not claim that Sheikh al-Habib is sectarian, because he criticizes both so-called Sunni and Shia historical and contemporary figures.
and he's talking about the Islamic Republic right there.
Yes. So
but they don't say what they mean.
They're so clever. They're like, we're not sectarian. We criticize both Sunnis and Shias. Yeah, the Shias that you don't even consider to be proper Shias, which is the Islamic Republic of Iran. Okay, I see what you wanted to. Okay, that's pretty good. Should I go forward? Yeah.
Much flack from the Shia community for refusing to stop criticizing those who he deems deserves to be criticized. The media speak of Shia themselves being against Sheikh al-Habib. Yes, no one is denying that there are Shia like this, but this is in fact the minority of the Shia. Because now in 2022, because of the hard work of Sheikh al-Habib, most Shia are okay with speaking about what happened in history. Most Shia today are okay with speaking about Abu Bakr and Umar and their terrorist teachings. Most Shia...
See, he's saying the quiet part out loud. Abu Bakr and Omar and their terrorist teachings. Oh my God. This is like an entire Sunni Islam is being questioned here. Look at this.
Speaking about Abu Bakr and Umar and their terrorist teachings.
This is, guys, a lot of you don't know this, but this is like, are not familiar with this. This is basically a Muslim calling Abu Bakr and Umar teachers of terrorists. The main companions of Muhammad are being called teachers of terrorism. Like, let me actually say the equivalent would be somebody who considered himself a Christian and says, like, the apostles of Jesus Christ, the 12 of them, they were terrorists. Like, I'm a Christian and I love Jesus. And if you said, like, maybe Judah was the right guy and everyone else was like terrorists, sympathize, like they were teaching that. That's basically what this sounds like.
Most Shia are comfortable with this now because they feel it is an obligation and they are not afraid any longer, thanks to the hard work of Sheikh al-Habib. You can even see this now being done by many mainstream Shia speakers who are being more open and who are speaking about the truth of what happened in history. Ironically, this Shia minority that are vocally against Sheikh al-Habib, that the news outlets in the UK are evoking and using to strengthen their argument, are mostly politically aligned with Iran, the very enemies that these same news outlets are continuously warning the public against. It's a very strange thing to do. And of course, they are against Sheikh al-Habib because Sheikh al-Habib has a long history of harshly criticizing the Iranian regime. And the Shia have tried to stop him from doing so, but he's refused because he believes that this regime deserves to be criticized, even though they claim to be Shia upon the same religion as Sheikh al-Habib. And yes, you may have others who are not politically aligned to Iran who...
So that was the important part. That was the important part. Because then he basically is trying to be like, well, you want to be against the Iranians, right? You want to, not against the Iranis, the Islamic Republic. You want to be against the Islamic Republic, right? Well, Sheikh al-Habib is against the Islamic Republic. And they don't like him. And all the people, all the Shias that don't like him are with the Islamic Republic. So obviously, he must be on to something. Why don't you make him your ally? So I wanted to touch on a few points that this guy goes on to make in the remainder of his 15-minute video, which you can find on the Rafida Plus channel if you want to go watch the whole thing yourself. And basically, he goes on, Armin, this is so clever. He goes on to be like, I understand the British public's concern about the influx of migrants from a culture that is not theirs into this country. I myself am born in the UK. I myself have British culture. and I understand your concerns. And he goes on to make two main points. One of them is that if you are so concerned about the issue of these people from foreign lands coming into the UK, would it not be a solution to allow them to have their own property, their own homeland, their own place where they can go? Basically, what is being said but not being said is, wouldn't it be a solution to just segregate them? Just allow them to self-segregate. Wouldn't that be a solution to your worries and concerns? The other point that he goes on to make is essentially that because the UK has basically lost its Christian identity, the UK is a Christian minority country now, that this is part of why the UK is crumbling. And that the UK has done so much to bash religion and to bash the followers of religion, but the UK is now starting to understand, and the West at large, that you need religion for its utility. And you have all these thinkers that are coming forth now talking about the utility and importance of maintaining a Christian identity and maintaining this history and protection of this history and protection of this identity. So wouldn't it be helpful to have another religious group that's on your side, against the efforts that want to destroy this country and the things that are good about it? And the people that would be on your side is this group, because they are against the founding fathers of radicalism and terrorism.
Are you not impressed? I didn't hear any of that, but I told you that this is their strategy, and you're telling me that the rest of the video was exactly what I just said. Are you not impressed? I know these people and what they're doing, and basically you confirmed everything I said, that they will come and confirm your fears, and they will try to seek themselves in from the back door by threatening you about other Muslims, by confirming your fears. And also, like, hey, yes, you're right. The demographics are going to change, and this is bad. So let's give them their own island. That was let's segregate them from the rest of society and give them a corner where they could grow faster without any interference. Yeah, that's a great solution. Let's just let it. What are you talking about? So this makes it worse. Give a part of your nation to another nation. That's your solution. Basically, everything we're afraid of is so that doesn't happen. And you're just saying this is bad, so let's just go to the final worst case scenario. Everything we're trying to avoid is that, and you're just saying, like, let's just do that, and then we don't have to be worrying about it.
Problem fixed. No, and then he goes on to say, where has Sheikh Al-Habib...
It's kind of like somebody having like cancer and saying, like, well, if I kill you, then you don't have to worry about cancer anymore. That's what I'm hearing. But yeah, go on.
So he goes on to say, where has Sheikh Al-Habib ever talked about Sharia law? We are not like other Muslim groups. We believe and promote following the rules of the United Kingdom. All these news stations, these news terrorists, are talking about him applying Sharia law. Where has he ever made that statement? Now, Armin, you tell me if I'm going out on a limb here. But when they have other elements of their organizations talking about how they want to prepare the land, do the necessities of preparing for the return of the Mahdi through faith advancing in societies according to Islamic refuted values and achieving Shia civilizational dominance, am I wrong in being like, to prepare the land for the return of the Mahdi, you would have to be living Islamically and following those rules? Like, so is that not Sharia, just not saying that you're following Sharia? Tell me if I'm wrong here.
No, I mean, the point is that they don't have to establish Sharia, because establishing Sharia is for them when the Mahdi comes back, right? I think the best way to ask them is like, so yes, you're going to follow the laws of the land, but you're going to prepare everything for the Mahdi to come, for him to do what? That's the question. Because like, oh, we're not going to be a threat. We're just going to prepare everything for the Mahdi to come back. And then like, yeah, what is the Mahdi supposed to do? And how are you preparing for him? Like, what are you preparing for him? Because the Mahdi is supposed to come and take over the fucking planet. He's supposed to basically, I mean, the whole point of Mahdi to come is to basically destroy everything non-Islamic and basically have victory over the enemy, over non-believers, and defeat every single non-Islamic government and make everywhere on this planet Islamic and establish Sharia then. So you're like, hey, don't worry about us. We don't want to establish Sharia now, but we want to prepare the tools and the equipment and the resources somebody would need to be able to dominate the entire planet with Islam. But don't worry, we don't going to do it. Mahdi's going to do it. I'm like, yeah, sure. No, like, even if you think that's not going to happen in our lifetime, it's extremely dangerous to let a group of people have all the resources for a plan like that. I mean, I don't know if you followed Shia Islamic history, but throughout Islamic history, at some point somebody came and like, yeah, I was the Mahdi. I'm the Mahdi, right? So, and imagine these people just have all that resources, military and equipment there for the Mahdi to come back. And at some point, if they have enough of it, at some point, somebody is going to come and say like, I'm here. You were waiting for me. I mean, Khomeini was almost tempted to do that, right? Khomeini was almost tempted to do that. The whole point of creating the Velayat Faqih was basically an in-between. It was too much for him to say, I am the Mahdi. So the whole point of Velayat Faqih was like, okay, I may be not the Mahdi, but the Mahdi is speaking to me, and I am representing his will. That's the and these people might do the same thing. I mean, these people at some point might do the same thing. So yeah, this is extremely dangerous. Do not trust these people. Do not let them segregate. The best way to defeat Islam is not to get people who are actually UK citizens to have their own area. That's actually the most dangerous thing you could do. That will let them mobilize. That will make them have parallel legal system. That will make them have a parallel nation and eventually have a parallel state, which means that they will have a parallel nation state. This is an invasion from within. This is creating a nation within a nation. The only way that you could deal with all of this, and I know a lot of you don't like to hear this, but the only way that you could defeat them is by not letting them segregate from the rest of society, but to basically take them in and make them assimilate with the rest of the society and make them British before they are Muslim. That's the only way. If you segregate them, that will be exactly the opposite direction of how you could defeat Islam. The only way to defeat Islam in the UK is to reach out to every Muslim and make them more British than they are Muslim. That and what they're suggesting is the opposite. And the reason why they're suggesting the opposite, because this is how you Islamize a society. The way you Islamize a society is you separate them from the rest of the society. But go on, Susie.
I just wanted to show that you can find their compound on Google Maps, literally called the minor land of Fadak.
Wow.
After Fatima. And this is the photo that's on Google Maps.
Wow, look at the military.
Like
the boys.
Yeah.
What the hell is happening?
I'm telling you guys, you cannot make this stuff up. And this is why you need to subscribe to Atheist.
Bring it back.
Okay.
I want to analyze that picture. Yeah.
No one else is covering this the way that we are covering this. Like, you are not going to find this in British media. Like,
so this is the picture that they are putting. It's where is this?
1 month ago.
This compound? Where is this compound?
It's in a little British town called Fulmer, I think.
It's a child wearing military uniform. I mean, do I need to say more? It's a freaking child in the UK wearing a military uniform.
And this guy, Sheikh Yasser al-Habib, came into the UK as an asylum seeker.
Oh my God, what the hell? Okay.
You can't make this stuff up.
Oh my
Dude, and yeah,
God.
guys, so this is why you need to subscribe to Atheist Republic. You need to share these videos. You need to like the stream, because please let me know if you know anyone in the UK space that is going to give you this level of information about what's actually going on here. Like, the British media is like, oh, the Mahdi, he's with the Iranians. No. It couldn't be further from the truth. Yeah, there's so much going on here. But moral of the story is their proposal of an island is not going to go through. Whether or not they get their little Shia island, their Shia homeland, is only the beginning of the issue. You know?
Yeah.
There's
it's not going to go through, but it's going to excite. The LARPing is funny and it's fun to laugh at. But the problem is that it's going to excite, like, oh, we're going to have our own compound. This is possible. This is their wildest dreams. This is why a lot of people got excited about ISIS, because having an Islamic state with its own army and its own people, it just excites many Muslims, right? So even if they don't get it, the excitement will get a lot of people paying attention to them, donating to them. I mean, maybe I was thinking they're stupid. They're not going to get that, but maybe they're not that stupid, because even if they don't get that, they got on the news because of it, you know, and they got a lot of people are not going to send them more donations just because this might happen, right? So I don't know. Maybe it's not that stupid. Maybe they know what they're doing.
Yeah. And like I said, they don't have the attention that other Islamic groups in the UK get. They don't.
Yeah.
So they've been allowed to operate like this.
The main lesson you need to take from this is that when you see Muslim institutions coming out and agreeing with you that, oh, yes, Muslims are changing the demographic of the UK. Oh, yes, Islam is like many, Islam is full of terrorism. And, the terrorist threat coming from Islam is a serious problem that need to be addressed. If there are people who saying this to you, who are they themselves are Muslims and they are representing an Islamic institutions, do not think that they're on your side, okay? Do not think like, oh, okay, this is a version of Islam that I might be okay with. It's a trap. It's a trap, okay? Be careful. They're actually the most dangerous ones. Okay?
They're talking out of both sides of their mouth.
Right.
Okay, so let's go to the super chats. We have a lot of super chats to go through, which is excellent.
Yes.
So bring forward the one from Yusuf Dumphy that we accidentally lost last week.
Yes.
Sorry, Yusuf. We did see this like immediately after the stream ended, so we will answer it now. Yusuf last week said, how secularized are Hanukkah and Eid? I can't remember why we were talking about this.
Yes, well, so Hanukkah, I think, is a lot more secular than Eid, because there's a lot more. I mean, Eid is starting the process of secularization. People like just looking at a festival, sometimes just a festive activity, and not really, So when it comes to Christianity and Judaism, the secularization of the rituals have gone a lot farther. Okay. By the way, secularization, guys, just remember, it's not reform. Islam cannot be reformed. Secularization means removing the religion from the ritual, just like Christians have done with Christmas. And you could see that in many Jewish rituals, because a lot of atheists or secular Jews who do not believe in these stories or who do not take them seriously still participate in these rituals because it's a festive activity that just brings people around. It's not really about the religion or the faith for some people. But Islamic rituals is a lot farther behind on this, especially because a lot of people who leave Islam hate Islam. But I do support that happening, because that will mean people could leave Islam easier if they get to keep their rituals or whatever they enjoy doing. So it's a lot farther behind, but it is starting to happen. We covered the story from Iran when the girls with that hijab, they were like doing Zenjuzani. That's how that sparked this discussion.
That's right.
All right.
Okay, so let's go to all the super chats we just got today. Raphael just became a new member. Welcome to Saints Minions, Raphael, which is a good reminder to everyone that if you want to support the channel, make sure to come watch us on YouTube, because first of all, there's like hundreds of people watching us on Twitter right now. You need to come over to YouTube. You need to subscribe. And if you're interested in supporting our work, making sure we can keep going, because the team is far bigger than just me and Armin, you can join the channel by hitting the button down there. Whoop. I always get backwards down there.
Next to the
and you get
subscribe. It's
fun
on my
emojis.
side. It's on my. It's here. Yes.
We get emojis. Angel LR was just celebrating her 8-month membership, saying good morning, everyone. Well, good morning to you, Angel. I hope you found the show informative so far. It's been a doozy. Erican gave a super chat saying, hello from Izmiranistan. I dislike the fact that YouTube doesn't let one do taped live streams first recorded and streamed as private and then restreamed as private. I'm not sure what that means, because they're essentially video on demand. But thank you for the super chat.
They have premieres, so that would be the version of that. They do have that. It's called Premiere.
Oh, we already did Angel's super chat. We got £2 from Andika. No statement, but thank you for the super chat. And Erican was also celebrating his membership, saying Lundria or Izmiranistan. I'm sorry, I don't know what this means. But thank you again for the super chat. Shadi, oh hi Shadi, is saying Sheikh Yasser al-Habib is very famous in the Middle East and has great support from Arab Shiites. Because I was doing some background research on Sadiq al-Shirazi, his marja, and I know I can't pronounce that right. And there was some things that said that he actually has a majority of support in like Kuwait and in Iraq. Like, I don't know if that's true.
I think in Iraq, most people follow Sistani as a marja.
Maybe I'm just thinking. No, excuse me. It was Saudi.
Yeah.
It was saying that Saudi. A majority of Shias
the
follow
main
Saudi.
marja,
like, the
main marja in the world, the two main marjas, okay, in the Shia world is Khamenei and Sistani, okay? And Khamenei is often ridiculed because he doesn't have the religious credentials to be a serious marja. He's only been considered to be a serious marja because he's the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran. But he's so low in his religious credentials that there's videos of him admitting that when they were making him the supreme leader, that he doesn't have the religious credentials to be the supreme leader of Iran. So,
but that's a whole different wormhole. That is a whole different wormhole. What does this thing from Dolly
Wait,
say?
Some Ahmed is saying no Shia in Saudi Arabia, at least that I know of. What are you talking about? The most oil-rich parts of Saudi Arabia is Shia Islam. That's basically the reason why. That's the whole reason why Saudi Arabia is terrified of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Because the Islamic Republic of Iran wants to export its Shia revolution into Saudi Arabia, knowing that the most oil-rich part of Saudi Arabia is Shia. Yeah.
What does this thing from Dolly say? I can't read this.
It's Khawarij. Are they the same as
no.
Khawarij? No, they're not.
No,
they're not. They're not. Yeah.
And just as a clarification, Ahmed of Kemet is saying Rafida refers to those Shia Muslims who reject the legitimacy of caliphates of Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman in favor of Ali ibn Abu Talib. Yes, and the cousin and son-in-law of Muhammad.
Yes.
So that's just some clarification on that term.
In Persian, we call them we say Rafizi. So Sunnis call when the Sunnis want to insult Shias, they just call them Rafizi, which means the people who reject.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they take that on. They're like, hell yeah, we're Rafida. That's right.
Yes.
We reject terrorism.
No, Dolly's saying that's Khawarij. No, the Khawarij reject both the Sunni leaders and the Shia leaders. Okay, the Rafizi are the people who reject the Abu Bakr, Umar, and Osman, but they accept Ali. The Khawarij reject all of them, including
Ali. And then it became Ibadi, because people don't realize that it's Sunni, Shia, and Ibadi who are like low key nowadays some of the most peaceful ones in a twist of fate. Call of Ghidorah, thank you for the Swedish Krona, saying, hi guys, did any of you ever watch the Piers Morgan interview with Gabor Mate regarding Israel and Palestine? It was honestly a very interesting discussion. No, I do not. I distrust anything that comes out of the mouth of Gabor Mate because he works for the Gray Zone, which is literally funded by the Islamic Republic, or has proof that some of their journalists are paid off by the Islamic Republic. So unfortunately,
I'm gonna go watch it.
I also Gabor Mate is denies the poisoning of people in Syria. So yeah, I don't trust him. Sarah Harris gave a super chat saying, imagine child social services trying to reach them. Oh, on that Scottish island? Yeah, fat chance. Asian American celebrating his membership for 31 months, saying he should have made himself a member of the peerage. I'm sorry, my friend, I do not know what that means. Ahmed of Comment also said, I am an ex-Sunni Muslim. Sunna believes in the Mahdi prediction as well. Across Muslim history, some terrorists emerge in claims of being the Mahdi.
Yeah, so the Mahdi in Sunni Islam is different from the Mahdi in Shia Islam. Sunnis do believe in the Mahdi, but they're not as obsessed with him as Shias are. Okay, so the Shias believe that the Mahdi is the 12. The 12er Shias believe that the Mahdi is the 12th Imam, and they consider him to be pure and holy, and a descendant of Prophet Muhammad. Right. So, and they have a lot. What?
Didn't the Mahdi, the 12th Imam, essentially go into hiding? And the idea is that he's in a period of occultation, like hiding, basically like living for centuries until he's supposed to reemerge again?
Yes, he's basically walking right now among us. So I don't think the Sunnis believe that the Mahdi was so the Mahdi in Sunni Islam is somebody who's supposed to come at some point, okay, but he's not here yet. But Shia Muslims believe that Mahdi was a kid, like I don't know, 1,200 years ago, like the son of the 11th Imam, and he went to hiding, a small hiding and a large hiding. Okay, the small hiding was when he fell inside a well. Okay, and he was missing because he was in that well and people couldn't find him, and then they found him, and that was the small hiding. Okay, I don't know if he fell in that well or people like dropped him in that well or whatever. But then after that, he went missing again, and that has lasted for like I don't know 1,300 years or 1,200, 1,300.
Oh, but he's still here, guys. Don't worry about it. He's just hiding.
But yeah, but he's among. So he's like a young man working among us for the past 1,200 years. Like sometimes you might see him, like he could be the shopkeeper that you're just talking to, and he either doesn't poop, or if he does poop, the earth opens up and eats his poop.
Are you serious? No.
Yes. yes. In
You're
fact,
messing with me right now.
No, this is true. Right? So the 12 Imam. So I don't know which one of these, like there's disagreements about these, okay? But the 12 Imam, they don't poop, okay? Or either that, or if they are poop, because the poop will be embarrassing for them to have poop, the earth opens up and it takes their poop and hides their
No, you know what he's doing? He's covering his tracks. You know how you can track a bear in the woods based on their poop? He's covering his tracks.
No, and I was on the Persian show. I was telling people that, okay, this is good. Now we can figure out who the 12 Imam is. Anybody who's suspected of being a 12 Imam, just like capture them, put them in a cage, give them food, and just see what happens. Just wait, like I don't know, 24 hours, and just watch them if they poop or not, and what happens if they do poop. Also, sometimes when they touch stuff, it turns to gold. And the Mahdi, because like in Iran, there was like a poor man, was asking for money, and the guy took a rock and gave it to him, and the guy was like, "Why is this giving me a rock?" And then he went away, and then he looked in his hand, and the rock was gold. And they're like, "Oh my God, that was the Mahdi! That was the Mahdi! That was Imam Zaman! That was yes." Yes. And he's on a white horse. He will come on a white horse with a sword, and the whole world will hear him when he speaks. And Jesus will be next to him. Both the Sunnis and Shias believe in him. Jesus will be on his side and right next to him, fighting in his army. And he will tell all the Christians that, "You fools, you claim to be my followers. You are not my followers. I never said to you that I am God. You guys changed my word and all of that. I'm a Muslim, and you betrayed me and changed my teachings." And that's what Jesus will say. Jesus will,
Oh my!
he will come.
God.
Jesus will come, and he will break the cross. And you're like, "This was not my teaching." Yes.
Spicy. It's like a buddy cop movie.
No, this is all buddy, but I'm serious. This is actually what they believe.
Yeah. Kenny gifted 5 Atheist Republic memberships. Thank you, Kenny. This is just a funny comment from Young Atheist, who's an ex-Sunni Muslim, saying Hussein was the founding father of terrorists.
Yes, actually, that's true. Like these Shia, they're like, "Oh, you hate terrorism? Yes, we do too. This is why we're against the Sunnis." Okay, you know, the main person who rose up against terrorism was Hussein. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Yazid was having a secular state, which he respected everyone's belief, and he was like, people like Yazid was evil. Or like, what did he do? Like, he had dogs and monkeys in his palace. Like, well, oh wow, so evil. And they're like, what else did he do when he was evil? He drank alcohol, and he had sex with women, and he wrote poetry, and he was just enjoying life. I'm like, sounds like a cool dude. And then here's the key part. Do you know why they say Hussein rebelled against them? They say that Hussein rebelled against him because he didn't want to establish Sharia law. He wanted to just let people have whatever, as long as they didn't rebel against him. He was just wanted to live. Everybody just live according to whatever the beliefs they have. And Hussein was like, Hussein rebelled against Yazid because he was like, no, he's not going to establish Sharia law. So who's the terrorist here? Hussein was rising up against the secular government. Hussein was the terrorist. All Yazid did was just destroy the terrorist rebellion. Hussein was the terrorist. Anyway, guys,
Armin,
anytime they tell you this, every time they tell you that Hussein raised against the terrorists, remind them that Hussein rised up against the established government at his time, and Hussein was the terrorist. Tell them that. Okay, but yeah, go ahead.
Young Atheist was also saying in regards to Imam Tawhidi, saying, but Armin, you and other ex-Muslims like Haris Sultan promoted him first. If you go watch Armin's conversation, with Imam Tawhidi on the Secular Jihadist channel. I would be shocked if anyone could say that Armin treated him in a way that was promoting.
So here's the thing. Actually, all these other ex-Muslims were promoting him. Okay, I am a friendly guy. Okay, I talk to people who I disagree with in a friendly way. But go look at my discussions with him. I did not back. Everybody else was promoting him, like Yasmin Muhammad. Everybody else on that panel was like, "Oh my God, this is so great." When it was my turn, I was taking a hard position against everything he was saying in a friendly way, right? But I did not agree with him. I don't agree with Islam. I don't agree with anybody who's promoting Islam. Never, I don't now. I didn't back then. Do not think that just because I talk in a friendly manner that I'm promoting or agreeing with somebody. It's just my nature that when I'm talking to somebody, I'm friendly with them, right? But yeah, I was holding a hard position against him. Yeah.
Armin also moderated an in-person debate between Imam Tawhidi and Daniel Hakikaju. You
Yes.
guys need to go watch that debate because it is spicy. And the funniest thing is that Imam Tawhidi is trying to position himself as the reformer person and Daniel as this extremist fundamentalist. And Imam Tawhidi comes across as way more like out of control of his emotions and way more volatile than the actual fundamentalist in the rooms. It's just, but that is an amazing debate.
Oh,
Sid
somebody's
Date,
saying drop the link to that debate. Hold on, I will go find it for you.
is
Hold
it
on,
in
hold
on
on.
Ideas Unboxed? I think.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. In the meantime, I will read another super
If-
chat.
Okay.
Sid Dave gave a super chat saying an Iranian assassinated Umar. Great achievement. Sid gave another super chat. You know, he gave a bunch. Should I read them all at once? No. Saying Muslims believe that Jesus will come back and partner with the Mahdi to fight Gog and Magog, who are trapped behind a wall by Alexander the Great. Imagine that. Abdullah Samir has an amazing video on the whole Gog and Magog thing. If you guys don't know what this is, you need to go watch that and discover it because you're going to be like, what? Sid gave another super chat saying Muslims in India are local converts and run a parallel society. India has failed to assimilate them. How will the West assimilate foreigners? Impossible. I don't think it's that simple because India has this kind of history of keeping communities separate, like the fact that they allow personal law, for example, is they are validating the existence of these like separate tracts of society. Now, that's not a perfect example because I understand the historical context of why those personal laws were created. But it's India, the supposedly secular state, has regulations and laws on the books that validate and enforce Sharia upon its Muslim population, like denying rights of women on the basis of implementing what is in the Sharia Act. Armin, you have a
Okay, I think like you guys are like Sid is speaking too soon. Okay, like this is a process that it takes like sometimes, maybe even a century, and the main force that will basically at some point bring the whole society together, regardless of the gods, or the ideology that they have. Susanna, do you know what I'm going to say? Like the equalizer, what's going to make people forget about their ideologies and assimilate and have follow the same rules and standards. Okay, it's the market, it's the
yeah.
economy,
That's like
it's
a
trade. Okay,
fantastic economy.
yes, it's the economy, right? This is the economy is basically the greatest force we have against religion. Okay, when people are trading with each other, they at the at the altar of the market, people forget about which gods you're worshiping, right? And again, if people, this is why I'm saying a mindset. If you bring people more their mindset, if you treat people as economic entities where they're more interested in building this world and their life and their economic value that they have, they will be less concerned about otherworldly stuff like in the afterlife or like gods. And this is how you bring people back to earth with from these shadowy things in the sky with the economy, right? So India right now is moving in the right direction, trying to come up with a rule, the same law, treating everybody equal under the same law. Like it's moving in that direction, right? And this is because India is a country that is progressing and it's becoming an economic superpower. The more economic activity we have among the people, the less religion is going to have an influence. The more people are going to see each other as economic entity that they could get something out of or give or sell something to them, and religions and the influence of them is going to become less and less important, right? So that's the main equalizer. That's the main way that you get people on the same level, dealing with each other on earthly matters rather than heavenly matters.
There was another comment from Sid saying, given the bloody nature of Eid, it can't be secular. An atheist will never sacrifice a goat. Well, you can celebrate festivals like Thanksgiving, Diwali, Holi, and Christmas in a secular way.
We could like secularize. Like, you think Christmas was like this before capitalism? This is what capitalism does to your religious rituals. It
It'll
improves
replace
them, it
it
makes
with
them
other
better.
stuff.
Do you think Santa Claus is in the Bible? Okay, so like we can change it. We could make it better, right? Again, when you make rituals more earthly than heavenly, they improve. They become more festive. They will become. You commodify them, and because now they're dealing in the market, they actually have to satisfy people. Yeah.
Eric gave a super chat saying, a lawless namaz. A prayer
like
without God.
Like, yeah, actually I think that could happen. I've never thought about this, right? But yoga, for example, is like in the West has turned into something that had nothing to like has little to do with its origins, right? Yoga was something else, and now look at if you go to yoga classes in the West and look at what yoga was before, they're so separate from each other. So we could do the same thing to the namaz or the salat as well. Yeah.
Animation is saying, look up broadcasting bill by Modi government. Okay, we can look into that. Sid gave another super chat saying, Armin, how did you learn English? Is it taught in Iran? How many Iranians speak English? Also, I read Bollywood movies are popular in Iran. Is that true? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my mom watching it when I was a kid, so yeah, it must be popular. So how did I learn English? Well, I lived in London from age 4 to 6. I watched a lot of cartoons as a child. Most my family watches, like when we wanted to watch something together, we watched like Hollywood movies. The news that was always playing in our house was BBC News, right? Because my dad always, like, it was always in the background, like when we wanted to get update on the news. We had satellite TV, so we watched like English news. And yeah, I read a lot of books in English. And yeah, so as a child in Iran. So how many? I don't know what percentage of Iranians speak English. It's not. I mean, here's the thing. Most of them, I think, have some knowledge of English, but because knowing English is associated with being knowledgeable and educated, a lot of people are shy in Iran speaking English because they think if their broken English will show them to be uneducated. So they want to, like, a lot of people in Iran, like, I don't know the percentages, but I know some people in Iran are obsessed with getting their English to be perfect before they start talking it, because they don't want to. A lot of people in third world countries see not speaking English as being uneducated and lower class, right? So that's why a lot of people are obsessed with improving their English. But you don't see that in non-English speaking first world country, like for example in Japan. There's no, if you don't speak English, people don't look down upon you, right? But if you go, I don't know, like right next to them in the Philippines, if somebody's English is bad, they will look down upon you. On in Iran, if you don't speak, like if somebody speaks English very well, they're like, oh my God, the parents are like, wow, so you speak English so perfectly. That's amazing. But I don't know, it has turned into a value, and it's also a virtue signal, to speak English very well,
Out of all of my different friend groups, my Iranian friends are the most perfectionistic about their English than I've ever seen from anyone else.
Yeah.
Eric can give another super chat saying Lundria equals London, in Izmirnistan equals Sumnir.
So he's playing
Sumnirna, Izmir.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Talking about Islamization, I think, in certain places.
Yeah. So Dave, give another super chat saying extremist Shias also want to revive the Hashashin Shia sect. These are the guys high on drugs who would do political assassinations between the 10th and 13th century before Mongols thankfully got rid of them. This is where the
I
word
don't think they
assassin
want to
comes
revive.
from, right?
Yes. But I haven't seen anybody want to revive them. Most
Yeah.
Shias are not even aware of their existence that much.
They were
Because that
Ismailis,
Shia
right?
Islam is like a separate. Yeah, that's more like Ismailis. That's like, this is not their Shia Islam is not the 12er Shia Islam. So that's a completely different sect. I don't know who's trying to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you're seeing something we haven't
Eliza
seen.
Ephraim just became a YouTube member. Thank you for
Oh,
joining
thank
us, Eliza.
Thank you.
Armin was also putting the link to his
Yes.
conversation in the live chat.
The name of the video, if you want to search it on YouTube, is Islam Unboxed with Imam Tawhidi, Daniel Haqiqatju, and Armin Navabi. So yeah, actually I will put the name of the video as well. If you guys don't have the time to click on the link, I just want to search for it.
Kenny gave a super chat saying, in Christian confirmation, you kill an ice cream goat, so I guess they could do something similar? What? Kenny, I think
goat?
Maybe this is a European thing in your country. I have never heard of this in my life. Do you literally have a little goat made out of ice cream? Please tell me what you are talking about. I have never heard about this. But honestly, that sounds kind of... Is it goat milk ice cream? Because goat milk ice cream is delicious. Yeah, I need an explanation here. He's saying yes. That's what it is.
Okay. I'm not seeing anything.
I've never
like
heard
this.
of this.
Yeah.
But maybe
I'm
they could.
seeing a lot of pictures of people feeding ice cream to goats. I don't know if that's healthy for goats. Guys, stop giving goats ice cream. It has too much sugar for goats. Why are so many people giving ice cream to goats? Okay, go on.
The Purple Ghost also gave a super chat saying, what do you think of protests by Israel politicians? Can you be more specific?
Yeah, which protests?
I'm not sure what you're talking about. But also, okay, audience in the UK.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes, they're talking about the protests against arresting that soldier who RAPE'd some Palestinians.
Oh,
these far right lunatics in Israel who are against the laws of their own country being enforced. They're basically protecting an RAPEist in Israel against the laws of Israel. Yeah, some far right Israeli politicians are insane. They're the greatest threat to Israel as a country.
Cringe. No,
this is basically standing against the rule of law.
Can someone in the UK tell me what the hell is happening to you guys over there right now? What the hell is going on?
Yeah. Also, let me know if you want me to do a stream on this, because this is a threat to these far-right politicians, are a huge threat to Israel. And I know a lot of Israelis stand against them, but they are just using the currency. It's insane. Yeah. Let me know if you want. I should do a stream on that. But yeah, go on.
Oh my God. Kenny just sent me a photo of the ice cream goat, and it's literally just ice cream in the shape of a goat. This is adorable. Anyways, is the UK just seems to have broken out into low-key ethnic conflict right now? What's going on? Is this just a natural result of I don't know if this is something about the British temperament, but we can't talk about we can't talk about a problem because talking about the problem makes the problem real, and then we're gonna censor and silence the people that do talk about the problem until we get to a point where there's just violence breaking out in the street because no one believes that the elites in control of government will actually take action on the problem, so they just go do it themselves because it's now a low trust society. Like, is that what I'm seeing? This is what I'm seeing on the news is freaking insane.
Yeah, but this is what happens when the government keeps not listening to their people and just keeps labeling them as far right. At some point, things are going to break apart.
Dude, this is a mess. So, let me know if you guys think it'd be interesting for us to talk about the situation that happened in Southport that ended up leading to an attack on a mosque and it got set on fire. Like, people are like, is this low-key a pogrom? Like, what is going on here?
And then they're gonna use the fact that people are acting this way as more reason to just stop listening to them. Like, hey, you say listen to people's concern. They're concerned about mass migration. They don't listen until you reach a breaking point, and this is how they will react. And then you will use this as a reason to not listen to them even more, because like, oh, look at what they're doing. So this is the people you're asking us to listen to. We shouldn't listen to them because this is how they're behaving. And
it is not good though. I mean, just like random people are having their little dawa tent attacked. Like, there's a Muslim Defense League running around with machetes. Like, they're attacking hotels with asylum seekers in them, which is no bueno. Like, no bien, excuse me. Let me fix my grammar.
By
the mosque in Southport got set on fire. Like, what is going on? This is crazy shit.
Dylan, we need to get to the next news.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Let's go to the next news. People in the live chat or in the comments, tell us if we should cover these UK issues.
Yes. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
Oh yeah, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun for us.
Okay. Next news.
California Imam accuses LGBT of infiltrating Palestine rallies. In a controversial Friday sermon at the Islamic Center of San Gabriel Valley, California Imam Ahmed Radwan, sparked outrage by accusing LGBT individuals of infiltrating pro-Palestine rallies and likening their tactics to those of Israelis. Radwan urged Muslims to distance themselves from the LGBT community, describing them as, quote, very sneaky people, and warning against standing shoulder to shoulder with them at protests. He claimed that LGBT supporters attend these rallies to gain Muslim support for their own causes, stating they come closer to us. They want to be seen among us. They say, we are supporting you. We stand against Israel. So stand with us when we need your help. Do not be fooled by this tactic. Radwan's sermon, which also criticized corporate and governmental support for LGBT rights, has ignited debate about inclusivity and allyship within activist movements. So let's watch the, good old-fashioned memory TV. Gotta love memory. Let's roll the clip.
We cannot be standing with them shoulder to shoulder. They are very, very sneaky people. For example, if we have a rally, and they have showed in rallies when we are standing beside Palestine and Gaza, they come closer to us. They want to be seen among us. That's mean here we are supporting you, we're standing with you against Israel. So stand with us also when we need your help. Do not be fooled by this tactic. You need to let them understand. Stay away from us. You not belong to us, and we not belong to you, and have a wall between you and them, because they're going to be expecting the same thing. No shoulder to shoulder, my dear brother and sister. And the month of June, my dear brother and sister, it means a lot to this group, the LGBT+. You are surrounded with their mark, with their colors, everywhere we can. They impose this on our children in the school. Even I have seen Chevrolet manufacturer, the Chevy manufacturer, they are supporting this evil act. McDonald's is doing the same thing. And unfortunately also I was at Nordstrom. I was buying some clothing. And my way out, I see Nordstrom they have their flag supporting this evil act of these people. The president of the United States supporting this. The vice president, she's supporting this. We need to stay far as we can and make sure our children, they not associate with them, because it's a disease and then your children are going to get it. And then these people, they are the oppressed. They are the victim. And this is to remind me what is happening in Palestine. In Israel, they are showing they are the victim. They are the oppressed one. And they are using the same mentality.
Wow.
There's a lot to unpack there. Armin, give us your initial reactions.
I mean, Islamically, he's not wrong. Like, people, like, if you're a Muslim, to be honestly, okay, like, if you're a Muslim, right, you are in these protests against Israel, and what is Israel doing? What is the Zionists doing that you're making you so angry, right? You're saying like, oh, they're dropping bombs on Gaza and killing Palestinians, which, okay, it's not them who's killing Palestinians, it's Hamas that is responsible for their death. But let's assume that you're correct, and Israel is evil and they're killing Palestinians, right? But you believe in an afterlife. I mean, what is a greater evil, LGBT or Zionism, from an Islamic perspective? Let's just assume that Zionism, Israel, all evil, killing Palestinians, very evil, and LGBT Islamically is also evil. But from an Islamic perspective, which one is more evil? The one who kills your child, or the one who takes the afterlife of your child? Like, if I have like a little baby girl, right, and I'm a Muslim, right, which would be more damaging to my baby girl? Let's say I have like a 3-year-old baby girl, right, and then a bomb is dropped on her house and she dies. Okay, so what happened? The Zionists, the evil Zionists, they took away her life, this life, the worldly life. But then if she didn't die, let's say the Zionists didn't take her life, and the LGBT movement, wow, they got to her, right? And she became, as they say, gay or trans, okay, or bi, or whatever, right? And she lives like she has a long life. She dies at age 90. Okay, so instead of so she has another 88 extra years to live. But then she goes to hell for eternity for being a lesbian, right? And she burns forever and ever and ever. So the Zionist is taking 88 years of her life, but the LGBT is taking an eternity from her. What is the greater evil? Like LGBT, as like all of these. So a lot of Muslims are. By the way, this is not my perspective, YouTube. Okay, I'm just telling you what these people believe. But the LGBT should be, a lot of these anti-Israel, Muslim activists have lost. They became too political. They have become too worldly. They become so much active with all these leftists that they are concerned about worldly matters. They have forgotten that they are supposed to protect their deen, their faith and religion, more than their own bodies. It says, if we are anti-Zionism, we should be more anti-Zionism, because Zionism is coming for your Islam, not for your life. Our life, it doesn't matter. We should say we love death. We don't care about dying. Even if you're concerned about Zionism, you should be more concerned about Zionism when Zionism is coming for Islam. You as a Muslim do not matter. It's Islam that matters. And LGBT is a lot more effective for coming at Islam than coming at for Muslims. In fact, LGBT acts like it's a friend of Muslims, and that's what makes them even more dangerous. So this Imam is basically, I said this all better than this Imam. I should be an Imam. Give me his job. Like, I explained this much better than he did.
Well, and that's why we have a Mufti Armin emoji.
Yes. Right.
Our true Muftis. He's already present with us. Yeah, I mean, you basically said it all. Like, yeah, Zayn is saying, "Hey, Queers for Palestine, are you listening?" Like,
Yeah.
this is why I recommend people. It's like, go listen to their sermons. This is why I got really into listening to the Shirazi sermons for a long time, to the Shia sermons. Go listen. A lot of these mosques like have sermons that they put on their own Facebook pages. They're usually still on Facebook. They stream to YouTube. Just go listen to what they say when they're talking amongst themselves. We don't have to. We used to have to feel like we had to like explain between the lines what a lot of these people are saying or explain what's going on. But a lot of times, if you go listen to what they say amongst themselves, you just need to show that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, no, there is no accusation that we are being untruthful, dishonest. When you go look at what they say amongst themselves, it's obvious. They say it out loud. We got a few super chats. Angie Unier gave a super chat saying, "Thank you as always for spreading awareness, love from Israel." Thank you, Angie. Mithras also just gifted 5 Atheist Republic memberships. Thank you so much, Mithras. And Erkin gave a super chat saying, "Except they do not accept Mufti Armin's fatwas because he's not a Muslim." And that is to their detriment.
Okay. I know I'm not a Muslim, but am I wrong? Am I wrong? Everything I'm saying, like, if you're a Muslim and watching this and you're here hate watching me, like, just ask yourself, is anything I'm saying incorrect? You know I'm correct, okay? You should make me the first ex-Muslim mufti and just follow my Islamic teaching. As a Muslim, you don't get any better source of Islamic teaching than me. You know, make an ex-Muslim. And if you're Shia, make me your marja. Who's your marja? I'm your marja. Make me your marja. No marja will explain this better than Armin. Yeah.
Oh my God, which reminds me, we have a new emoji that we made that I forgot to add. And we have an Ayatollah Armin Ayatollah Armin emoji that I need to release.
Oh,
so get excited
yes,
for
because
that.
the one that we have right now is guys, right now the Mufti Armin emoji that we have for our members, that's Sunni. That has a Sunni look to it. So we are doing an Ayatollah version of it, which it would be Shia. So we are covering our bases everywhere.
Yeah. Sid gave a super chat saying LGBT for Palestinians totally deluded individuals. Here's the thing. If you understand their political orientation, it actually is completely logical and rational because they are concerned about a totally different axis of power in the world. So we would disagree with them, but within their internal framework, they're not delusional. I don't know how to explain that.
Actually, it's genius in some ways, right? Because so when it comes to the far left, right, we have Marxists and we have the Wokistani people, the Wokistani Mujahideen, right? And if you go look at history, the Marxists were sometimes pretty badass. Like they fight and they kill and they, they're pretty aggressive, right? But when it comes to the Wokistanis, they are pathetically weak, right? They are, and we have three main powerful forces in the world that is trying to destroy liberalism, right? Liberalism, and those are Marxists. I mean, it used to be fascists as well, but we annihilated their governments, so they are not in the picture as much as before. But it used to be the fascists, and the Marxists, the Islamists, and now we have a new breed, which is the Wokistani Mujahideen, right? So the fascists we kind of destroyed them, but the Marxists are, not as relevant as before. But these Wokistani Mujahideen, they also want to destroy liberalism, but they can do it ideologically, but they don't have the violence and the aggression required to do the physical fight. They can do the ideological fight, but they're incapable of doing the physical fight. They want to fight Zionism, they want to fight Western imperialism, they want to fight capitalism, and they don't have the soldiers, like the fascists and the Marxists did.
They're
The
too
fascists and the
mentally ill
Marxists,
to actually accomplish anything.
yes, they are like they if you push them over, they just like they might die. Be careful.
You can
right?
go see threads
So-
on Twitter where they're like, a far right activist was working out today. Did you? Because they're trying to encourage like being physically fit, for the revolution. And people are like, that's body fascism. And then they cancel the person
Right.
trying to do it.
Right.
It's a
So
freaking
my
joke.
point. Wait, my point. Let me say my point is, they realize that they are incapable of doing the physical fight, so they just open the gates to the barbarians, which are also anti-liberalism and capable of doing the physical fight, right? So that is the reason behind. So that's kind of the smart part. The problem is that eventually this violence might come for them as well, right? It happened because the Marxists did this in Iran more than 40 years ago, and they opened the gates to the barbarians, the Islamists, and they took over the country, and the leftists were the first ones to be executed. But just looking at it in a short-term perspective, like if you look at it, it makes sense for why these people are see Islamists as their allies, because they are fighting their same enemy and they also can do things that they cannot. So it makes kind of sense in that way.
So, okay, any more? Okay, we got another super chat from Animation saying the broadcast bill will censor YouTube channels in India. Okay, so that's something we should look into. And Dave gave us a super chat saying they see Palestinians as people of color oppressed by white Jewish colonizers. They see Israel as a white ethno-state. For them, LGBT equals Palestinians versus Black Lives Matter. Okay, basically, they have a very specific structure of what is moral and what is immoral. And it is formulated very strongly, particularly around American ideas of race and ethnicity. And then they just impose that moral structure or moral cartoon upon this conflict when really it is not analogous. And which is so funny because a lot of them are indirectly influenced by postmodernism, which doesn't believe in that kind of moral projection, but they're still doing it anyways. So Gasian American sent a super chat saying, I've met Maoists who insisted on communism needed abolition of whatever the fuck that meant. It was one of the most word salad ass responses I've ever met. Well, they want to abolish the institutions and structures that hold up a liberalized democracy, because that's how they can seize power. That's the obstacle to their dominance. And yes, it is word salad. Because they're not trying to say what they really mean a lot of the time. Some of them do.
All right, so can we clap for the next news?
Yes, this is also going to be fun.
All right. Next news.
UK Islamic Charities host extremist cleric who endorses sex slavery. Very fun. In a troubling development, 4 UK Islamic charities are under investigation for hosting Ibtisam Ilahi Zahir, a Pakistani extremist preacher known for his inflammatory views. Zahir's controversial statements include claiming that Ahmadi Muslims don't have a right to live on Earth. YouTube, I am reporting the views of another person. We condemn those views. and advocating for the sexual enslavement of female protesters of war, female prisoners of war, stating that Islam has designed a solution where they are to be distributed to the soldiers in an organized manner or sold as slaves. The National Secular Society of the UK reported these charities to the Charity Commission, questioning their tax-exempt status. Megan Manson of the National Secular Society, or NSS, emphasized it's galling to see tax breaks handed to mosques that host fundamentalists with divisive agendas where this clearly serves no public benefit. Zahir's unapologetic stance is evident in his statement where he said, quote, "Let them consider me as an extremist or a terrorist." This incident highlights the growing and ongoing debate about religious charities in the UK and the potential misuse of charitable status to promote extremist ideologies, raising critical questions about the balance between religious freedom and public safety. So here's the TLDR. The National Secular Society, which is a great organization in the UK, they're kind of like the Freedom from Religion Foundation, but for Britain. They do a very good job of monitoring extremist activity in Islamic charities and reporting it to the authorities, which is awesome because, to my knowledge, we don't really have an equivalent of a secular organization doing that in the United States. Like, I love Freedom from Religion Foundation. I think they do incredible work, but they're very heavily like evangelical focused. I mean, for good reason. That's most of the issues in the US. But the Islamist use of charities in the the United States really does deserve being looked at. So the National Secular Society, they were basically tracking this radical Pakistani cleric, and were reporting he went on a speaking tour in the United Kingdom, and he was allowed to go on a speaking tour despite all of his views in what he promotes. And so they reported these charities to the UK government, to the Charity Commission. Now, based on other issues we've covered with the Charity Commission in the UK and the actions that they failed to take against these kind of Islamic charities, to be honest, I'm not too hopeful that action will be taken. But this has been reported to them, and there is a push to try to get this guy banned from visiting the UK. And let's hear some of his statements. According to the subtitles on a video uploaded in YouTube in 2012, Zahir has said that Qadianis, or apostates, do not have the right to live on earth. Qadiani is a derogatory term for Ahmadi Muslims who are severely persecuted in Pakistan because their theology is considered blasphemous by clerics by the majority Sunni Muslim community. In the video, Zahir said that if Ahmadi Muslims call themselves Muslim and refer to their places of worship as mosques, quote, "we will never grant them the right to live." He said that he doesn't care if people think of him representing his views, saying, let them consider me a terrorist. This is a problem because there's been anti-Ahmadi hate crimes in the UK. He's also said, in a post in his Facebook account in 2021, Zahir said Islam has, quote, "designated a solution for female prisoners of war, which means, quote, they are distributed to the soldiers in an organized manner or, quote, sold as slaves." Zahir has repeated this view according to a 2010 television interview transcript published on Memory. In this interview, he said that it is permitted to use Jewish women captured in Israel as concubines. He also compares being the owner of a woman to being the owner of a goat or a horse, and implies that men therefore have the right to sell women. Basically, he praised the October 7th attack and was asking pro-Palestine rallies if they are ready to make the Jews of Israel suffer. And so this guy
and
went
with
on
all of that, with all of that, you're saying they're going to keep their charity status?
I don't know. They have been referred to the Charity Commission, and I'm saying, based on the failure of action from the Charity Commission in the past, I am not optimistic.
The fact that that's even a question, like, guys, the ones of you who are in the chat sometimes saying deport, okay? And I say, well, you can't. Some of these people are UK citizens. You cannot deport them. Like, well, we can change the laws, right? The fact that when you have charities in the UK that are just promoting October 7th terrorist attack, slavery, RAPE, saying groups of people do not right to live, you cannot even take their tax exempt their tax exempt status. Taking that away is a question here, right? We don't know if this is going to happen. Like the fact that this is not just immediately shut down, not just removing their tax exempt status as a charity, but just shutting down. Like if it was up to me, this whole organization would be shut down and raided, right? And they would not be able to even remain active, let alone having the privilege of not paying taxes while being active. So you are so far behind changing the UK laws. Like maybe try this at least before thinking that you could change the foundational principles of your laws in a way that someone's citizenship could just be taken away from them and deport them. Like you have charities that don't even pay taxes, and they have their charity status while promoting sex slavery. What like you're not even beginning, like you're so far behind when it comes to laws, and you're like, oh yeah, let's like change everything and just take away people's citizenship.
Yeah, and this did not happen a long time ago. So this guy came into the UK on a speaking tour last month. He went to the Ul Qura Foundation, which has a mosque in Bradford and is endorsed by Zahir. The Al Hikmah Project, which runs a mosque in Kenley. I don't know how to pronounce all these weird UK words. Maki Masjid, a mosque in Manchester. Markazi Jamaatiyat Al-Hadith UK, an umbrella group based in Birmingham with over 45 mosques and other organizations that are affiliated with it. All 4 charities are registered under the charitable purpose of the quote-unquote advancement of religion. The NSS has long highlighted how this purpose can enable the promotion of extremist ideology. In response, the commission has opened assessment cases into these charities. So, to their credit, the National Secular Society of the UK has been calling upon the British government for years to amend or fix or remove the fact that you can have advancement of religion as a charitable purpose explicitly because it enables extremism. So this is why I track the activities of the NSS, because I really like the work that they're doing.
You know how you could get a charity banned immediately and get their, charity status away from them? Maybe they should have made a comment about immigration, or maybe that would get the authorities involved a lot faster. Maybe they should have said, I don't know, maybe made a questionable remark about puberty blockers, or maybe
or maybe make a gay joke, just a joke.
Yeah, something. Well, no, if you're a Muslim, maybe they wouldn't come after you, right? So you have to be non-Muslim and say something about LGBT, trans issues, something about the mass migration being problematic, or questioning Islamic values and saying that they're barbaric. Then maybe the authorities will get involved immediately, and then your charity status will go away. And then but if it's an Islamist promoting, if it's an Islamist promoting sex slavery, then we'll see what happens.
Dude, and the fact that was all happening under 14, 15 years of governance by the Conservative Party, by the Tories, is crazy to me. I'm I don't know, as an American, I'm these are the conservatives? I'm confused.
What are you conserving? Actually, you're right. Yeah, what are you conserving? Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through these super chats. Sid Dave is saying, I wish LGBT for Palestine, Western leftists spoke for religious minorities, LGBT people in the Muslim world, but alas, because they will lose Muslim votes. So you're talking about like there's a difference between the LGBT community and then left or liberal politicians. That's a very important distinction. Okay.
Yes.
Because
And
the
also,
LGBT community is not like responsible for garnering Muslim votes per se. Like you're kind of conflating two different things.
you're also generalizing all of LGBT community. Like we have, it's not the LGBT community that is a problem. It's the liberal or far leftist mindset. Because we have many liberals within the LGBT community that actually do speak against, do bring voices to LGBT community people within like Middle Eastern countries, right? Like for example, we have Dolly here, right? Dolly is here. Dolly is a activist. She keeps bringing attention to that. So the problem is, huh? Or yeah, Susanna. Yeah, Susanna is LGBT. So yeah, but yeah, so don't blame the LGBT. Blame the part of LGBT movement that is, progressive,
ideologically
from
captured.
the progressive side. Yes, that has been
There's a reason for that. It
liberal
goes,
part of this.
yeah. And it's really is a generalization because there are some people of the LGBT community who, like, I wish I could remember his name right now, but in the Netherlands in the early 2000s, there was a politician who was a gay man who was speaking out against his concerns about mass migration, particularly of North Africans, into the Netherlands, and his concerns about his safety and the rights available to him as a gay man. And he was assassinated for it and tarred and smeared as far right, as a gay man being concerned about growing homophobia in his country. He was killed for that. This was before the murder of Theo van Gogh. Like, or isn't the leader of the AFD party a lesbian?
Yes, she is, and she has a wife. She lives with her wife.
And so a lot of people expressly have this concern because they're LGBT, and they have a sense that homophobia is being imported into their country. I've witnessed this myself. I was on the train not too long ago, and this is something that's just normal in my city. Like every now and then you'll be on public transportation and there'll be some weirdo like yelling about some stuff. And there was this guy on the train who he had a very thick African accent. I can't remember, like I can't place the accent. But he was all of a sudden, right before getting on the train, screaming about homosexuals, how he would kill anyone that tried to make him accept homosexuals.
YouTube, these are not our views. Like, oh my God, the K word is going to get us in trouble. YouTube, Susanna is talking about other people.
Yeah.
We are exposing them. We stand against them. Okay. Jesus.
And so I'm like literally watching this happen in front of my eyes, and everyone else. I mean, I live in an extremely progressive city, is just standing there like saying nothing. And I'm like, yeah, I can understand why there are some LGBT people who are like putting up a, wait a second, this is a little bit scary for me. Like,
all right, we need to go to, I'm excited about Ahmed's super chat because I want to also talk about his profile picture. Yeah, but let's go to the other super chats until we get to Ahmed.
Erican gave a super chat saying communism is stateless, familyless, and moneyless.
Well, actually, you cannot generalize like that. Communism we have different brands of communism. Communism goals is to eventually be stateless, but we have state communism in the middle. Like Stalin's communism is not stateless. It's, if anything, it's too much statism, I guess. I think so. You cannot say that entirely about all forms of communism. Communism has different. They're all evil and they're all wrong and all are bad for society, but not all of them are the same, right?
Sid Dave gave a super chat saying such individuals all voted Labor. How liberal? Again, Sid, you are misunderstanding something. There is a huge movement against Muslim voting blocs away from Labor because of Labor's support for Israel. Like this was a phenomenon within the past election, how entire like neighborhoods and districts are being lost to other candidates, other third-party candidates, because they are organized in stepping away from Labor. Like you can go read articles in the Guardian about this. It's not that simplistic.
Yes.
Like this is how George Galloway got his MP seat, is off the back of capitalizing on Muslim grievance.
Yeah, and when you say all in your claims, it's easy to debunk. Whenever you say all, it's easy. It usually becomes easy to debunk what you're saying. And I avoided saying all by saying usually. See? Anyways.
Ahmed, this is the one you wanted to get to, said, I think Islam in the UK reached a level of power that can block any action against it. There was a Muslim Brotherhood infiltration technique that they used in the Arab governments called the blocking third. We would call this essentially a fifth estate, I think.
This is what I would call escape velocity, okay? So you reach to a point where even if you're still a minority, but you're still to the level of minority that you have enough influence that there's the pushback against you is going to be difficult to impossible. Like the rate of increase has reached escape velocity and is like unreachable now. So that's maybe what you're referring to. But Ahmed also, this is his first super chat. And also Dolly was excited because Dolly is Egyptian as well. Dolly's saying, happy that we have an Egyptian here. Thanks for the super chat. But also, I just wanted to comment on Ahmed's profile picture. And I don't know if I'm correct about this or not. So maybe Dolly and Ahmed could correct me. But just like in Iran, where a lot of people use Zoroastrian symbolism to have a pushback against the Islamic takeover of their land, because Zoroastrian symbolism represents Iran before Islam. Many Egyptians who are anti-Islamic use the imagery of ancient Egypt as an identity of Egypt that is not Islamic or pre-Islamic. It's basically a form of a symbol for nationalism as opposition to Islamism. Am I correct about this understanding of how the imagery of the pharaohs or like anything from ancient Egypt sometimes has that utility in Egypt in the same way that Zoroastrian symbols is used in Iran against Islamism? Am I correct? Yeah, so Ahmed is saying, yep, true. Okay, cool.
Oh, Sid Rashika is just saying, Susie, we love you. Oh, well, thank you. That's rather nice. Rafa gave a super chat saying, the first story reminds me of a weird sex dream I've had several times where I purchased an island and filled it with hairy men. I called my Hirsute harem. Okay, well...
What? I don't know what just happened.
Okay, well, thank you for announcing that to the room in the form of super chat supporting our work.
Oh. Okay. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
Oh yeah, this is going to be really interesting.
Okay. Next news.
The surprising story of Europe's hijab-only beach. The opening of Europe's first hijab-only beach, and to be fair, the first that I'm aware of. To my knowledge, this is the first. The opening of Europe's first hijab-only beach in Montenegro has ignited controversy, raising concerns about religious segregation under the guise of inclusivity. The management of Pearl Beach in, I have no idea how to pronounce the name of this town, Usinj, announced this exclusive beach for women who wear hijabs and burkinis with a tall privacy barrier. Quote, all visitors should adhere to the rules and customs prevailing in this area, the advertisement declares, emphasizing the imposition of Islamic modesty rules. This development follows rising violence and harassment against Muslim women at Montenegrin beach resorts, such as an incident where a Kuwaiti hijabi and her family were sprayed with alcohol from a hotel balcony, which is terrible. And a teenager in a burkini was barred from from a pool by a man claiming that he hates Muslims. Again, YouTube, we're reporting on the views of others. These are not our views. Well, proponents claim the hijab-only beach promotes inclusivity and protects Muslim women from discrimination. Detractors see it as a step backwards, fostering a religious exclusivity rather than integration. The controversy reflects broader debates across Europe, where burkini bans in France, Germany, and Italy have sparked intense discussions about secularism and religious freedom. Despite Montenegro's majority Orthodox Christian community, Rusinj, with its 68% Muslim demographic, mirrors the tensions between the secular and religious communities throughout the continent. So what was super funny was I first heard about this news in an opinion piece that was written by a female American Baptist minister who saw this as like the best thing in the world. And was basically like, oh, well, we have nudist beaches exclusively for nudist people. Why won't we have one for hijabis? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why do you think that it is a good idea that if women are experiencing harassment, religiously based harassment, that the solution is segregation? Because what people don't understand when they essentially take a pillared approach to multiculturalism is that this is a form of like acceptable segregationism under the guise of like, oh no, we need to let them do their own thing because that's what it means to be accepting. Armin, you look like your brain is about to explode.
Okay, so can men go to these beaches?
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you say that again? My headphones went out.
I said, can men go to these beaches?
My audio went out. Let me fix this. I'm sorry.
All right, guys, if you guys know about this in the chat, because I don't understand the point of this beach. If it's only for women, then why the hell wear the hijab? There are no men there. Let me actually see this article. Look, I mean, look at this opening. It seems like they have coverings around it as well, so nobody can see. You can see like there's a door and has a sign saying that you could go there only with hijab. And then they have this thing around it so you can't see inside. Then why, like the whole point of hijab, if there are no men there and nobody can see you, then what the hell is the point of wearing the hijab? Like, isn't this an opportunity to take it off? Like, you're on the freaking beach, there's the sun, there's the wind, there's water, and they give you an area where no men are allowed, so just take it off. What happened to Susie? No, there we go. Susie's back.
Sorry, that was super weird. Whatever you were saying, I missed it, but I can hear you now.
Can men go to this beach? Men.
No.
Then what's the point of the hijab?
That's a good question. And also this beach is barricaded with tall separators so that you can't like see inside of it.
You can't see inside of it, right?
No. That's my understanding.
Yeah. Okay, so somebody's saying maybe a man can see them from a boat. No. Maybe that's the reason. But okay, here's a question. Why can't women that have no hijab enter? Like, how is that? Like, this doesn't even make sense. Let's say fine. This is a woman-only beach for Muslim women who want to wear the hijab. Even if it's blocked from all sides, somebody might see them from far away with like a telescope or on a boat. Okay, let's give them their own beach, right? What is the utility if you're a Muslim woman that want to have your own area where men are not there, and you want to keep your hijab on because God forbid somebody might see you without hijab, right? But what is the utility of not allowing, women with their bikinis there? If men are not coming, shouldn't that be enough as a Muslim woman?
Ostensibly, my understanding is to protect them from harassment.
From women? From bikini wearing women?
I guess
Bikini
so.
women, the Muslim women complain is that men harass them. I haven't seen other women in their bikinis are going to come harass you while wearing a hijab that's your concern?
It says in this context, it is a positive thing for Muslim women to have the choice to safely enjoy themselves in a private spot at the
But what's the threat?
hijabi beach. They can do
Okay,
so without the fear
Arthur,
of hostile reactions, which they sometimes experience at regular beaches, and in keeping with their interpretation of Islamic precepts regarding modesty.
okay, if you say that this is a beach area for women to be able to come with hijab, okay, and put a hijab sign there, okay, then anyone with their bikini showing up there is probably not going to come and harass you, because that's what they're going to expect. Like if they were concerned, so if a woman in their bikini is going to come and harass a hijabi woman, it's because usually they don't expect them to be there and they don't like it. Maybe they come harass her. But if you specifically go to a beach that has hijab signs all over it, and you say this is a beach that women come with their hijab, then I don't think you will get harassed by bikini wearing women. Also, Arthur is saying, hold on, what was there? Oh, forgot, I lost it. Arthur is saying, well, because wearing hijab, bikini is immoral. Yes, wearing bikinis is immoral for Muslims, but being next to a woman with bikinis, that's not immoral. This doesn't make sense Islamically either. But you go on.
Sinj already has a designated women-only beach, but it is not suitable for hijabis, as other beach users can observe the area from outside, which would violate Islamic codes of modesty.
Wait, that doesn't make sense. Listen to what you just said. Who cares that it could be seen? You're wearing your hijab. Oh no, this is a woman-only beach. People might look, okay, but you're wearing your hijab. So why people could look at you when you're in the store as well? Like, why would that? If you already have women-only beaches, that should be enough. Because if you're gonna wear your hijab on this hijab-only beach, then you could also keep wearing your hijab in the women's-only beach. And if people are going to look at you, the only concern you should have is if people are watching you. If you go to a beach where you're wearing a bikini, but if you're wearing a hijab, that shouldn't be a concern for you. This makes no sense. This is just the point I'm trying to get at is this is just claiming territory with excuses that are not even Islamic.
To be fair.
This is just signaling that you were taking over more of your area. That's what this is. But go on.
I think a lot of these excuses that were in this coverage are coming from the fact that the author is a female Baptist minister from America. And so a lot of the inconsistencies, I'm like, or why this doesn't make sense Islamically, I'm like, I think it might have to do with the misunderstandings of the author. Because she goes on to say, it does not constitute unfair privileging of one particular group, but rather addresses a group's particular needs. After all, there are thousands of nudist beaches that can cater to the needs and lifestyle of that community. There are even dog beaches that cater to animal needs. Why should a group that is constantly discriminated against not have its own beach section or designated pool hours? Bans and harassment of bikini-wearing Muslim women prevent them from enjoying the beneficial exercise and leisure time of the outdoors. So that's her understanding.
This is not even their need, though. Islamically, this is not even their need. This is just taking advantage of Western misunderstanding of their lack of understanding of whatever Islam teaches. Just like this is just a claiming of territory. This hijab signs is just showing that we're here and we are more influential than before. This is just a signal to the society that, yeah, the society is catering to our needs, even if this is not our needs. Like if you already have women-only beaches and you were planning to wear the hijab, this has Islamically, this serves no purpose. Even in the batshit crazy, barbaric, insane Islamic ideology, this serves no purpose other than a political statement and a signal to society that we're more influential than before, that we could ask things and we will just get them. That's what this is doing.
It's so and I just cannot get over the sense that there are well-meaning, ostensibly, nominally liberal people who think that this is the answer to a group experiencing harassment, is to segregate them. It's so backwards, and they don't even realize how backwards it is, because they think that making special accommodations for a certain group is the inclusion. But no, you're fostering segregation and actually saying, no, you cannot be in the rest of society. You have to go do your own thing. It's so weird to me. Ay. Yeah.
If you're a Muslim woman, tell me, if you were going to the beach, like, please bring a Muslim woman and explain to me this, okay? If you were planning to go to the beach, okay, and you were planning to continue wearing your hijab while you're on the beach, first of all, that's insane. Like, your vitamin D, like your skin, and needs the sun. Like, imagine the rest of the world enjoying the feeling of the wind in their hair and the sun on their skin. Look at what Islam is doing to you, okay? But anyways, you do you, okay? You're going to the beach and you're planning to keep wearing the hijab, and even though you want to wear the hijab, you want to be in an area that there are no men, okay? If we have women-only beaches that both bikini-wearing people and hijabi-wearing people could go, okay, then you have that already. So what does this beach do for you? Can you explain to me, what does this beach do? You already have that. Because you could, on the women-only beaches, you could continue to wear your hijab. So what is it? What is the added utility here? There's zero added utility. Anyway.
Oh, I had another thought that just left my mind.
Tanky was, by the way, this Tanky is not actually a Tanky. Okay.
Yeah.
He's actually has very good, this Tanky guy with the communist symbol here actually has a lot of good liberal takes, really good liberal takes in the chat. Okay, that's just a joke. But by the way, consider changing because a lot of people are going to think we're a communist channel because we keep highlighting you. But Tanky is saying inclusivity by exclusivity. That's what's happening. They're excluding people and they're calling it inclusive. Yeah, go on.
As a side note, this is a whole different topic, but I think it's worth being said that I think many of the bans against burkinis in Europe are freaking stupid. I just want to be on the record saying that. I think banning the burkini is freaking stupid, and there's policies about this all across Europe.
I don't know. I kind of see it as a signal to society that this is as a reaction of society saying that this is not our identity. We don't want this shit here. So
that doesn't mean that it's a good idea. And also because there are lots of women that from different religions who want to wear that kind of swimwear because it follows their modesty rules.
Yep.
And then also, like, there are a lot of people with skin conditions or want to avoid sun exposure that want to wear that kind of swimsuit. It's like, who cares? Who cares? Like, there was literally.
I agree.
Let me get I just want to finish my thought. Yeah. There was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe Dee will remember when we covered this story, but we covered a story where there was a motion in a French town to change the rules so that women would be allowed to go topless in like the pool or the beaches or something. And because the way that the rules would have been changed to allow women to wear what they want so that they can go topless, people nuked the entire movement to let women go topless on the beach because it would have allowed women to wear the burkini if they should so choose. So they were willing to nuke personal freedom just because they hated this way that people go in the water so much. I'm like, that's stupid. Like,
Okay, so it's stupid, but and it's also not. Okay, so I do not agree with banning people's liberty to wear what they want at the beach. Okay, so I agree with you on that. The thing is, though, you should expect the society to react in sometimes strange and maybe irrational ways to such an extreme and fast change of demographics and ideology and the values of their society, right? So even though I don't agree with the ban, right, I do not go around and try to blame the people who are trying to introduce the ban. You should expect such weird reactions from a society that is being injected with such rapid uh, pace of ideological injection of something that is completely foreign to that land, right? But it's basically an allergic reaction to something foreign in such a way that it's having a hard time coming up with a proper response to it because it just doesn't have the flexibility to respond to it properly. So I do not, even though I agree with you, I do disagree with the ban. I put the blame on the people who are supporting such a high level of mass migration. The source of the problem comes from the other side. Does that make sense?
well, I can tell you're going back to some Hegelian thought, which we were talking about before the stream.
Don't discuss the private discussions I have with you off air.
Hey, there's no problem with just referencing Hegel.
No. I tell you why. I'll tell you why. But don't, like, our private discussions should remain private. But go on.
No, okay. Of course. No, and let me be clear. Me disagreeing with this ban and thinking that it is like a double standard and not consistent and not good law does not mean that I don't understand where this is coming from. I'm just giving my opinion on its merits.
Right. No, I agree with you. No, I agree with you that I just want to make sure also that we do call out something that is irrational. And I completely agree with you. It's completely in line with my thoughts. I just want to also make sure that I acknowledge the source of the problem. Like, for example, in Iran right now, as you know, there's a lot of negative reactions to Afghans being in Iran, and sometimes that shows itself in very ugly ways towards Afghan inside Iran, right? However, even though I do condemn all the misbehaviors, all the mistreatments of many Afghans inside of Iran, I do not focus on that condemnation. I put the blame on the Islamic Republic of Iran because the Islamic Republic of Iran is using mass migration from Afghanistan to Iran as a policy for many of its problems. And again, I'm not trying to do an appeal to nature fallacy. I'm not saying it's correct, but it is natural that when society responds to mass migration, to uncontrolled mass migration in such a way, I'm not saying it's correct, but it is natural. So it is to be expected. I'm explaining it. I'm not excusing it, but I'm explaining it that this is what you could expect from society when you just have uncontrolled, unfiltered mass migration from any country to another. You're muted.
We understand each other.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. We have 2 super chats.
Super chat by Erkin saying, Armin, certain Muslim women don't take off the hijab even when there's no men around. Sure.
Yeah, that doesn't negate anything I said. I understand that you could and many women would want to continue to wear. First of all, that doesn't make sense, right? I understand certain Muslim women do that. It makes no sense, right? The purpose of hijab. But even if you want to continue to wear the hijab on a beach, if you have women-only beaches, then this beach serves no purpose, even for those women. But I know, yes, you're right.
Okay, then we have a super chat from Rafa saying maybe it's for male animals to not be infected by the gaze of male animals. I don't think so.
Maybe dolphins. I've seen dolphins sexually abusing female humans. I've seen video of that, but that's the only animal. Well, actually, no. Have you seen that? Dolphins are evil.
The R word dolphins.
Yes, but I thought they just R word each other, but they also R word humans.
Did they try or were they successful? Dare I ask?
What? I will show you the video.
Oh God. I don't know if I want to see that. What the fuck? Atheist Republic behind the scenes. No. Let's go to the next news, Armin.
All right. Is it clappable?
Yes, this is very interesting.
All right. Next news.
Next news, why Uzbekistan's ban on cousin marriage matters. Uzbekistan is set to ban cousin marriages in an effort to reduce birth defects, with official statements showing that nearly 10% of babies born with disabilities in the country last year were from consanguineous unions. Consanguineous means cousin marriage. The proposed amendments to the family code aim to prevent marriages between first and second cousins. The issue has sparked debate among Uzbeks, with some defending the practice and others supporting the ban. How do I pronounce this? Sabovkhan Alimova, who married her first cousin, argues that such marriages offer more trust and love between marriages. Well, Siro Jijin Togahev, who was born with disabilities, supports the ban, stating, "Don't marry your relatives. Your children will suffer as a result, not you." Uzbekistan's move to ban cousin marriage is significant, if not only for its potential health impact, but also for its broader societal implications. This ban represents a clash between deeply rooted cultural traditions and modern public health concerns in a predominantly Muslim nation of 35 million people. So there's a lot to unpack here. Armin, I think it would be important background for people to understand, like explain to them how Islam influences this trend.
Well, I mean, Islam just allows cousin marriage. That's it. Yeah, that's a short summary of it. And because it's allowed, no state should stand in the way of what make unlawful. I mean, the Quran specifically says, "Do not make unlawful what God has made lawful." So yeah, you cannot Islamically, you should not do this. God has allowed it. God knows His creation more than you mortals. So shut the hell up and just allow cousin marriage. I mean, yeah. So that's basically it. This is basically man's law standing up against God's law. Susie, that's a very short. By the way, Pakistan, look at this. Uzbekistan is already suffering a lot because of the results of cousin marriage, but they managed to come and eventually stand because they know how harmful this is to society, and they're now stopping it. But imagine what's going to happen to Pakistan, because I can't imagine if Pakistan would do anything like this. They wouldn't dare, right? People in the live chat from Pakistan government would never dare allow come between Muslims and their cousin marriages, right? So because this is the damage to Uzbekistan is going to stop, even though it's a great damage that is going to stay for a long time, but at least it's not going to get any worse. However, in Pakistan, a lot of people are suffering. To be honest, guys, this is not me saying something. I know a lot of people, you are going to think that I'm saying something that is so, questionable. I shouldn't be saying this, but Pakistan's average IQ is going to be heavily significantly affected by the fact that there's so much cousin marriage, and they're not going to stop it. Yes, exactly. So I know Young Atheist was going to respond to this. Yeah, Pakistan can never do that. Imagine coming between Muslims in Pakistan and their cousin marriage. The whole society would riot. They're we want to F our cousins. We want to F our cousins, and no state can stand between us and our cousins, right? And imagine what's going to happen to the future of generations. I mean, Pakistan is already suffering from two evils, which is poverty and Islam. And imagine this third evil of continuous cousin marriages. You know, what's going to happen to the future of Pakistan if it has a huge impact on society. And, you know, all of these are the three great evils that is taking Pakistan to unimaginable. You know, you thought that Pakistan is a failed state right now. If it continues the same way, I can't imagine what's going to happen with Islamism and poverty, and then continuous cousin marriages, and a drop in IQ, and also a lot of diseases, a lot of also health defects. Yeah, the future of Pakistan doesn't look. At least Uzbekistan came in the way and stopped it. Yeah, what do you? Yeah,
it's really interesting. This spurred me to go look into kind of some of the anthropology of cousin marriage in Islamized countries. And this was so interesting. I found a quote that said, in the relation with the spread of Islam, a study that occurred in 2000 found that a parallel cousin, meaning a father's brother's daughter, so basically your female cousin, marriage is likely to be common in areas that were part of the 8th century Umayyad Caliphate and remained in the Islamic world. So that would include Uzbekistan. The researcher argues that while there is some function between Islam and this form of cousin marriage, the permission to marry your female cousin does not appear to be sufficient to persuade people to actually marry the female cousin, even if the marriage brings its economic developments. According to this researcher, a systematic acceptance and practice of parallel cousin marriage took place when Islamized non-Arab groups adopted Arab norms and practices, even if they had no direct connection with Islam to raise their social standing. So basically, there's many different, if looking into the research behind this is basically different behaviors that a tribe would take to make the tribe stronger against other groups in its environment, to prevent it from assimilating into other groups in the environment and keep it stronger. And then this just was spread through the practices of Islam. So there are different rulings within Islam that incentivize this kind of marriage. So one of them, for example, is the issue of bride price. So when there is a marriage that occurs, unlike Western aspects of certain practices of dowry, the bride price is given to the bride from the groom, and it is solely the property of the bride, not the bride's family. So this is called mehr. And this incentivizes cousin marriages because the bride price for a female cousin is likely to be half of the bride price of an outsider. So that's issue number one. Issue number two is that if the bride price has to go directly to the bride, by marrying a cousin, you're keeping the wealth within the family. Another incentive from a tribal perspective is that there's something called egnate and affinal ties. And egnate is these ties that are along the paternal line, which are obviously going to be very important in a clan-based, tribe-based society. And this is a way to help maintain the strongest ties, whereas ties through marriage might not be as strong. And it is also a way to make maybe a distant family member or a distant tribe member closer to the tribe by making their ties both egnate and affinal. So you're making them doubly strong. And then there's also the issue of inheritance and the inheritance owed to women. And basically by marrying cousins, again, it's another incentive to keep the wealth within the family. And these are all like outlined and legitimized within practices of Sharia. Not to mention the fact that Muhammad married one of his cousins, and people generally, like to emulate Muhammad.
Not to mention Abraham married his sister, according to all three, like Christians and Jews also believe that. Abraham married his own sister. So yeah, this is actually a problem within all Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
But basically, so they are trying to keep the wealth in their family, but they are making the gene pool. They're destroying the wealth of their gene pool. That's the expense, but the monetarily gains, right? So I hope it's worth all
BBC,
the
by the way,
hospital bills. Yeah, go on.
if people want to learn about this, the BBC, like probably 10 years ago, did a giant documentary about this issue happening in the UK, in the British Pakistani community, and basically how the UK government is like not willing to come out and call a thing. Because apparently, like I said earlier, it's like, oh, if we don't talk about a problem, that doesn't make the problem real. Like, or talking about the problem is going to cause the problem, so we can't talk about it. Which is not helpful, because it in the documentary goes into how this basically causes a huge inordinate expense upon the NHS. It's really interesting. Oh, there was something else I wanted to say. So I just thought that was interesting context when I was reading this, because it's not exactly like that. Islam doesn't mandate this. Islam allows it. And then there are other systems within Islam that basically originated from tribal society structure that were then legitimized and brought into the faith, that then helped this practice spread around the world, which was very, very interesting. And it reminded me of this video, and it is called "Why Are Muslim Countries Poor?" And it's by a channel called Visual Economic. And I really, really encourage people to go watch that video. Why are Muslim countries poor? And it basically outlines how even before there was any interaction with major Western colonizing forces in the world, the GDP of the Muslim world was much lower on average than the rest. And it's because of many customs that came from Sharia enabled there to be, it made wealth accumulation extremely difficult over generations because of different inheritance laws. And that the video "Why Are Muslim Countries Poor" by Visual Economic is so funny, because they start out kind of doing this teaser, and they're like, is it because of history? Is it because of culture? Is it because of colonialism? Like, let's investigate and find out. And then as you continue through the video, like, what's not being said is because of the culture. But I encourage people to go watch that video, because it is very, very informative. Oh, Armin has brought forward some scripture. Okay, let's get into this.
So you said that God doesn't say that you should do cousin marriage; it just allows it. Okay. Well, the problem is that allowing it means that it has made lawful, right? And if it has made, if God, so we, for example, God, there's a list of people that you are not allowed to marry in Quran. It says, like, you have the list, right? And it does not include cousins. So because it does not include cousins, that means it has been made lawful. And because it has been made lawful, the Quran says, do not prohibit them, right? So this is Quran chapter 5, verse 87 says, all you who have believed, do not, basically Muslims or mu'mineen, do not prohibit the good things which Allah has made lawful. So that's, or the second translation is, you who believe, do not forbid the good things God has made lawful to you. So that basically means that just because a lot of people say, okay, Quran allows it, okay, but the Quran doesn't say that everybody should allow it. The Quran doesn't say that we should not ban it. Well, actually it does. The Quran basically says that everything that I have not banned should remain unbanned. And you as a Muslim should not ban what I have allowed. So this is why if the government comes and says, like, oh, you cannot have cousin marriages, that would be in a violation of this Quranic verse. There, this is a problem.
So yeah, congratulations to Uzbekistan. Still an authoritarian regime, which I completely oppose, for the record. But this was a good move.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for violating Allah's commandments. Always appreciated. Seriously.
We got a few super chats.
Oh, yes, let's do the super chat.
Erican is saying consanguineous marriages should be banned up to third cousins worldwide and up to fifth cousins if both parties are from the same town. I know that there are very like small isolated communities that literally have to keep track of all the genealogy stuff. Is it in Iceland or whatever? Like where they have to keep track of this exactly for this purpose. It's in the best interest of the public.
Or you could just like, we're getting to a place where everybody could just easily get a DNA test and let the doctor, like the experts, just tell you if you can marry or not. If you're close and if you're too close and you don't know if it's safe or not, just go get a DNA test and they will tell you. How about that?
Johnson. Oh.
And also, I think here's the thing: for the sake of being liberal, I think that maybe people should be able to marry, even if they are too close. They should just adopt. You know, like for example, let's say, oh my God, I really love my cousin. I really love her. I don't want to marry her. Okay, what if I go get a snip, okay, and I can't have a kid, and like, okay, then I should be able to marry her. Like, okay, then I think there should be ways that we could make things happen for people. So if you get a vasectomy, then you should be allowed to marry your cousin and do whatever you want then.
Okay, but the state is not going to get involved in legally mandating that you get sterilized to be able to do that. That's not going to happen.
That's not what listen to what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the state is not saying that you should get a vasectomy, but the state is saying you cannot get married. But if you happen to choose to get a vasectomy, then the state should not be able to ban your marriage anymore. So I'm not saying the state is mandating a vasectomy. I'm reducing a ban. I'm not adding a ban. I'm reducing a ban. I'm reducing the ban on your marriage.
Okay. I understand the point that you're getting at. The idea of writing that into law is unlikely. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Jack Johnson gave a super chat saying, is banning cousin marriages, polygamy, incestual marriages, and other marriages between consenting adults liberalism? If it is not, then why? This goes into much more complicated matters, including Armin's hot takes on incest.
No, so incest is not inherently like wrong. It's wrong because of the consequences, right? I am a utilitarian. I do not judge whether something is wrong or not based on the disgust factor. Like, ew, gross, therefore wrong. Like, who am I to, like, I don't know, there's certain type of food that I find disgusting. Should I ban it because I find it disgusting? I mean, as an extremely straight man, right, gay sex is, like, not pleasant for me to watch. So should we ban it because I don't like it? So it's not based on, you know, this is the weirdest moral structure that people could have. Like, we have divine command theory, we have deontology, we have virtue ethicists, we have utilitarians, and we have other types of consequentialists like Machiavelli. But what is this weird, like, there's another one that people are adding is like, everything that I find disgusting is immoral. No, it's not based on disgust. We're against incest because of the consequences of incest, not because of an inherent value. Or anyways, I'm not going to get into moral systems. I will tell you, I could do a stream. I mean, I have done streams on this, right? Yeah, but it's based on consequences. Like, you guys, is not a moral argument. Okay, you have to show me the negative consequences, and there are negative consequences to many of the things that you're mentioning here, and that's why we're against them. And even if you could eliminate the all the negative consequences, you have to understand that society needs to come up with rules that are is not meant to stop a harm in every single case. It's supposed to a general rule utilitarianism where it's more likely to stop a harm. So even if you could find exceptions where it's not causing a harm, You cannot expect the government to basically come and evaluate harm in every single case. It's supposed to put on rules that is just more likely to reduce harm most of the time, even if there are exceptions. The exceptions does not mean that we cannot, because if you do that, then, for example, let's say you say like you cannot speed here. The speeding limit here is 60, for example. Let's say like, okay, but is it that much harmful if I go 61? What if there's no cars? Like, what if in this situation it's okay for me to go, I don't know, 70? Yeah, sure. You might find exceptions, but the government has to come up with a number. The government needs to come up with a rule. The government cannot come evaluate every single case and do an harm analysis. It doesn't work like that. It has to come up with a general rule. So even if you find examples of incest that are not harmful, the government just has to ban it, because that rule in general, it just reduces harm more often than not. Does that make sense?
And you just explained why I said that I thought the vasectomy thing that you mentioned before was unlikely, because it's like that. Yeah. It's such an edge case that it's a hard burden for the government. They're not going to legislate that.
Yeah. Right. That makes sense. I see your point, actually. You're right.
Thank you for proving my point, sir. You talked yourself into it. Love to see. No kidding. Cajun American gave a super chat saying, I think House of Dragons is incest propaganda.
I mean, actually, I don't think so, because I mean, look at their son. So I think it actually is an anti-incest, piece of
and he's saying they can still get married and get gay meat donors. Again, the likelihood of this actually being executed well is small, so it's safer to just prohibit it outright.
Yes. The government, for example, does not come and say, do not cross red lights, unless it's 2 a.m. in the morning and there's not a single car to be seen around and there are no consequences for crossing a red light. In those rare situations, then it's legal for you to cross a red light. The government does not do that. The government just says, no, do not cross a red light. That's illegal, right? Because it cannot afford to just come and analyze harm reduction in every single scenario.
Yeah, so that brings us to the end of our show today.
Yes, guys, that was good. Guys, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you recommend the channel. Make sure you spread increase the size of the Atheist Republic army. We are at war and we need more soldiers. So join the army and recruit more people. Okay, so please tell people to come and just tell them Atheist Republic. It's very easy. Just tell people Atheist Republic on YouTube. Atheist Republic on YouTube. That's what you need to say. Okay, and they will come and find us. So like, subscribe, and do that, and hit the bell notification. Leave a comment. If you don't know I don't have anything to say. What should I say in the comment? Just say for the algorithm or for the YouTube gods. Okay, just say here's my sacrifice for the YouTube gods, or so like do a prayer to the YouTube gods, whatever. Yeah, yes, do the prayer side or something, right?
I have a question for the people in the live chat. I don't know if anyone has been tracking the recent rhetoric from Andrew Tate, but Andrew Tate seems to have gone on a hard right anti-immigrant turn. And I think it would be super interesting to cover, because now Salafi Muslims in the UK are calling him out for it. Does anyone want us to do a stream on that? Like,
yeah, maybe.
He's gone full, like
any in the news.
Male would want to have the boats turned around. I'm like, this coming from Andrew Tate is fascinating. I am fascinated.
What if we just do a news, add it to a news, because I don't want to do it by myself, because you're so fascinated by this. So we should do it as a news item next week. People are saying yes.
Try to pull that together. It's a little bit different because he's all over the place on this, but
yeah, I mean, what's new? He's always all over the place.
You know what? You're
All right, guys, we're gonna go, and till next time, make sure you like the stream. Bye.